हेलो फ्रेंड्स, वेलकम बैक टू माय चैनल। तो आज की वीडियो में मैं इसका नेक्स्ट पार्ट कंटिन्यू करने वाला हूँ। तो बिना किसी देरी के चलिए शुरुआत करते हैं।
Chapter 87, Haunted. Awkward, extremely awkward. Whether it was a coincidence or something else, the moment Han Chang and the others began to absorb the moonlight, they discovered that the statue was also absorbing the essence of the moonlight. Moreover, strictly comparing their absorption speeds, Han Chang was not even as fast as the statue. Senior, why don't we be frank with each other? Please show yourself and meet us. Han Chang gestured for the queen to take Ziyan and the black dragon further away. Nodding to Venerable Skyfire, the two of them approached the bluestone statue in a pincer formation. His dual-colored blue and green pupils lit up. With a flip of his palms, a green lotus and a blue nekomata appeared between his hands. As the terrifying flames burned, this space began to shatter. On the other side, the fallen heart flame in Venerable Skyfire's hand also condensed into a flood dragon spirit. The bottle in his palm, which contained 4 types of rank 7 beast fire, was ready to be shattered at any moment to form the 5-ring fire-expelling array. Behind them, the queen drew her snake-shaped sword, staring intently at the bluestone statue. The black dragon revealed its 100-jong-long body, firmly shielding Ziyan. Little friend, please hold your hand. This old man is no match for you. A white figure walked out of the bluestone statue. His appearance was identical to the statue's, that of an old man, though he wore white robes. However, the old man's state did not escape their notice. A soul body, an extremely powerful soul body. Han Chang's dual-colored flame pupils carefully sized up the soul body before slowly dimming. He gestured for everyone to stand down. Senior, although you are currently a soul body, your strength far surpasses that of a Dozun. Before you, we juniors naturally wouldn't dare to make a move. Hearing Han Chang's words, Venerable Skyfire looked with some surprise at this old man, who looked as if he might topple over with a gust of wind. If it were a Doshang-level existence, then even with the fallen heart flame's special effectiveness against soul bodies, it would be of no use. Beneath Doshang, all are ants. The queen and the others also looked at the old man in shock. They had not expected this old fellow to be so powerful. If a soul body's power could far surpass a Dozun, then what level of expert must this old man have been when he was alive? He must have been a Doshang expert. Hee, please rest assured, little friend, this old man is merely a dead man now and will not make a move against you. If it weren't for, even if you emptied out everything in this space, this old man wouldn't have appeared. Looking at Han Chang, a young man who controlled 2 heavenly flames, a trace of wariness flashed in the depths of the white-robed old man's aged eyes. It was true that he did not want to fight, but he also feared what would happen if this young man erupted with all his strength. Currently, even if he exerted his full power, he would only be a Ban Chang. But this young man could definitely reach the level of a true Doshang. No matter how brief that time was, even if it was just for a single strike, he wouldn't be able to withstand it. As a former Doshang expert, he knew very well how powerful Doshang-level strength was. Beneath Doshang, all are ants. Senior is a man of noble character and integrity, bestowing favor upon the younger generation. This junior is full of admiration. Han Chang bowed. It seemed this space was indeed created by him. Younger generation. The white-robed old man shook his head with a bitter laugh. Looking at these outstanding young people, his heart was momentarily touched. Sigh, I am merely a sinner. How can there be any noble character and integrity? A sinner? Could it be that Senior was imprisoned here by someone? Han Chang asked curiously. The white-robed old man shook his head. When this old man was alive, I was a 7-star Doshang. If I were unwilling, who could possibly imprison me here? If those descendants of mine had been as outstanding as you all, this old man wouldn't have had to open up this space, and those enemies wouldn't have seized the opportunity to strike at my clan members. Sigh, let's not speak of it. Success is due to the Dodi bloodline, and failure is also due to the Dodi bloodline. Everything is predestined. Dodi bloodline. Han Chang asked tentatively, could Senior be a member of an ancient clan possessing the Dodi bloodline? The white-robed old man was somewhat surprised, but after looking at this young man, he understood a bit. Indeed, has little friend ever heard of the Qin clan? Qin clan. Han Chang turned to look inquiringly at Venerable Skyfire, who also shook his head. He didn't bother looking at the queen and the others. After all, he was the one who had told them about the ancient clans in the first place. My apologies, Senior. I have only heard of the Jiyu clan and the Hun clan. They are currently the 2 strongest ancient clans on the fighting Qi continent. Jiyu clan, Hun clan. The white-robed old man shook his head and gave a bitter laugh. Forget it. There's no need to dwell on it. This old man is just a dead person now. Even if the ancient clans are completely gone, it has nothing to do with me. You little fellows can take all those things. If there's nothing else, do not disturb this old man. With that, the white-robed old man returned to the bluestone statue with a sigh, as if he had never appeared. After waiting for a long while with no further movement, the group looked at each other and lowered their guard. After packing up everything, they silently left the courtyard and returned to the palace complex to absorb the moonlight essence. Since the courtyard was haunted, they didn't dare to cultivate there anymore. Early the next morning, just as they were preparing to leave, the white-robed old man suddenly appeared before Han Chang. Little friend, this old man takes the liberty of asking you a question. If you answer truthfully, I will give you a heaven-rank Do skill. How about it? Senior, why don't you ask first, and I'll answer depending on the situation. Han Chang did not commit fully. If the old man asked how he had reached this realm so quickly, how was he supposed to answer? The white-robed old man did not press further. Depending on the situation was fine. At least it was better than those fools who beat their chests and promise only to turn around and sell you out. This old man would like to ask, has the method you used last night to absorb moonlight for cultivation already spread across the fighting Qi continent? About that, I can indeed tell Senior the truth, Han Chang said with a chuckle, causing a wry expression to appear on the white-robed old man's face. It hasn't spread. Only a few of us know it. That's it. The white-robed old man was still waiting for more, but the young man had stopped. Senior, how about you write down the heaven-rank Do skill first, and I will slowly explain it to you. Han Chang placed heavy emphasis on the words, heaven-rank Do skill, then pulled out a blank scroll from his storage ring. Hee, could this old man possibly deceive you? The white-robed old man chuckled, then began to replicate the heaven-rank Do skill onto the scroll using his soul power. Seeing this, Han Chang glanced at the people around him, let out a breath, and his hands began to change. The green lotus core flame acted like a volcano, serving as Han Chang's solid shell, while the sea heart flame was like an ocean, with blue flame blood flowing through green veins. Seeing this scene, the white-robed old man's eyes widened, and his soul body trembled with fright, nearly becoming unstable. You lunatic. Directly merging heavenly flames into your own body, and 2 of them at that. How dare you? Do you have any idea that if you make even a single mistake doing this, you will die without a grave? The queen and the others also widened their eyes in shock. As the people closest to Han Chang, they actually hadn't known he had done something so dangerous. Chapter 88, Jin Beisheng. Chapter 88, Jin Beisheng. Even for a Do Saint, after taming a heavenly flame, they must use a Naling to contain it. Otherwise, they would have to constantly suppress it. If they got distracted during a battle, it could truly lead to eternal regret. Even Do Saints wouldn't dare to do this, yet Han Cheng had actually done it, and he was playing an even bigger game by directly turning two heavenly flames into a part of his body. Hee, it's alright. Han Cheng waved his hand, restoring his body of flesh and blood once again. You really are a little lunatic. You should know that directly turning a heavenly flame into part of your body like this is something even a Dodi might not be able to achieve. Yet you aren't even a Dodi. If anything went slightly wrong, your wonderful life would have been over. The white-clothed old man had originally thought he was ruthless enough, but he hadn't expected this young man, who was not even 20, to be even crazier. He was practically playing with his life. Han Cheng handed over a new blank scroll and said calmly, hee, my luck was pretty good. I succeeded both times. After merging with the green lotus core flame, I discovered that I could use it to absorb the energy of heaven and earth much faster. As he spoke, Han Cheng made the green lotus core flame transform into vivid green lotus roots, taking root in the void. After my soul strength advanced to the spirit state, while refining pills, I discovered that I seemed to be able to absorb the energy within moonlight to enhance my soul strength. Afterwards, I tried to teach this cultivation method to those around me, but except for magical beasts, no one else was able to master it successfully or even get a basic grasp of it. It wasn't until I met you, senior. I assume your situation is different from that of ordinary soul bodies. Han Cheng shifted the conversation and looked at the white-clothed old man. Even for the soul of a Do Saint, under normal circumstances, it was absolutely impossible to survive for tens of thousands of years. Hearing this, the white-clothed old man paused his actions of copying the chi method and nodded slightly. Little friend has good eyesight. Indeed, my situation is different from those soul bodies whose physical bodies have died. My soul has become tightly linked to this secret realm space. As long as my soul is not annihilated, this space will remain perfectly preserved. If I hadn't coincidentally discovered one day that I could absorb moonlight energy to replenish my soul, I probably would have vanished from this world long ago. After listening to the white-clothed old man, Han Cheng nodded in understanding. As expected, he had turned into a special soul body similar to an earthbound spirit. Senior, how about I refine some medicinal pills for you? Consider it a small token of my appreciation. Don't bother, some tier 7 pills are newly entered, tier 8 pills aren't of much use to me. The white-clothed old man shook his head, knowing his own situation well. Or even tier 8 9-colored pills useless. Han Cheng's face revealed a confident smile. Tier 8, 9-colored. The white-clothed old man paused his copying of the Do technique once again and let out a bitter laugh. It seems I have failed to recognize a master. Then I shall trouble you, little friend. Crackle, 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 pop. A month passed. Looking at the back of the young man walking out of the spatial gate, the white-clothed old man, Jin Beisheng, still could not help but sigh with emotion. Just what kind of circumstances could produce such a monster? Even the ancient Do is pale in comparison to him. Holding the 3 tier 8 9-colored pills, Jin Beisheng returned to the bluestone statue and began to recover his strength. At the same time, he looked forward to their next meeting and what kind of surprises this young man would bring him. ... The void trembled slightly, and Han Cheng's group of 5 returned to the red plane from the void. Old man Chin is a nice guy. Big brother, let's come visit him more often in the future. Ziyan poured the last energy pill from the jade bottle into her mouth, then pulled out a new bottle, her large eyes narrowing happily into 2 crescent moons. Han Cheng and the others were speechless. If Senior Chin hadn't generously given them all those things, would this girl still be saying that? Yet, ironically, her money-grubbing nature actually endeared her to Jin Beisheng. Perhaps this was just an elder's fondness for a child. Just as the group was about to set off in the direction of the Central Plains Burning Flame Valley, Han Cheng's dual-colored blue and green pupils suddenly ignited, and he looked toward the void behind them to the side. Friend, if you don't come out, we're going to leave. Hee, please wait, friends. I mean no harm. As he spoke, a sturdy middle-aged man stepped out from the space. With deep wariness in his eyes, the sturdy man glanced at Han Cheng, then looked at Ziyan and said, that little girl should belong to the same clan as me. Rather than following you, it would be more appropriate for her to return to the clan with me. Ziyan, what do you think? The fire in Han Cheng's heterochromatic eyes died down again as he looked at Ziyan, whose expression was somewhat complicated. Big brother, big sister, he is my clansman, and I also want to go back and take a look. Ziyan had already felt the special fluctuations of a shared bloodline, an ability she had obtained from her bloodline inheritance. Han Cheng and the queen simultaneously patted Ziyan's head, then looked at the sturdy man and said, friend, then please trouble yourself to take us to your clan as well. Alright, follow me. The sturdy man nodded, turned around, and opened a spatial tunnel. As a void ancient dragon, he wasn't worried about leading wolves into his home. Although the current ancient dragon island was divided, the situation was not yet that dire. If an ordinary Do Saint went in with ill intent, they would only be suppressed. Han Cheng took the lead and followed, and the rest of the group followed as well. This was an extremely long spatial tunnel. Venerable Skyfire knew that he could not construct such a long spatial tunnel in one go. A silver light ring appeared, and they leapt into it. Standing high in the air, Han Cheng and the others stared in astonishment at the land that appeared before them. Of course, it would actually be more appropriate to describe the object in front of them as an island. The area of this island was extremely vast. In the sky above the island, a light silver, bowl-shaped light barrier hung upside down, wrapping around the entire island. When everyone cast their gaze outside the barrier, they were stunned. Because outside, it was actually a pitch-black void space that made one's heart turn cold. This island was actually floating within the void space. Beneath the lush green forest, who knew how many experts of the Void Ancient Dragon clan were hidden? If the Void Ancient Dragon clan had not split, what a powerful force that would be. Led by the sturdy man, the group landed on a huge mountain peak. On the mountain peak, a white-robed old man used spatial power to appear before everyone. Upon seeing the white-robed old man, the sturdy man hurriedly bowed respectfully. He Qing greets the third elder. He Qing turned around, pointed at Ziyan, and said, Third elder, this is the bloodline I sensed. These are the child's friends. They weren't at ease, so they came along. Everyone, this is the third elder, Zhu Li. Hee, hello, it seems this child is very fortunate to have a group of very reliable friends. Chapter 89, Separation. Chapter 89, Separation. Elder Zhu Li is also quite capable. It seems Ziyan's tribe is indeed very powerful, so I can rest easy now. Han Cheng narrowed his eyes, a friendly smile appearing on his face. Elder Zhu Li smiled gently, unable to help taking this extremely young human seriously in his heart. Why don't we test Ziyan's bloodline first? Perhaps I can deduce who her parents are through her bloodline. Alright, then I'll trouble Elder Zhu Li. Han Cheng patted Ziyan's head, stood beside her, and nodded. The nervousness in Ziyan's heart quickly dissipated. The aura on Han Chang made her unconsciously relax. Seeing this, Elder Zhu Li felt somewhat relieved in his heart. It seemed they had gained another powerful ally on their side. However, Ziyan's parents were certainly going to suffer in the future. A drop of blood infused with a rich purple tint flowed out. Relying on his cultivation as a half-saint, Elder Zhu Li barely managed to resist the pressure of her bloodline hierarchy without losing his composure. However, He Qing to the side suffered terribly. Not only had he waited anxiously for over half a month, but after bringing someone back, he realized he had brought back a little ancestor. The pressure from her bloodline alone made it difficult for him to stand. Royal bloodline. Elder Zhu Li looked at this little kid with ecstatic joy, as if he had seen a grand ancestor. Ahem, it seemed their king still needed some time to grow up. How is it, Elder, do you know who my parents are? Ziyan opened her eyes wide, her small fists already clenched tight. I still need some time to look into this. Elder Zhu Li laughed awkwardly. With such pure royal blood, he might not necessarily be able to trace Ziyan's parents so easily. Han Cheng smiled and patted Ziyan's head, reassuring her, don't rush. You'll be staying here for a long time anyway, so they can take their time looking into it, right? Ziyan suddenly looked up, glancing at Han Cheng and then at the queen, before pouting, fine, but big brother, sister, you have to come visit me often in the future. We'll try our best. The corner of Han Cheng's lips twitched. This ancient dragon island of the void ancient dragon species was constantly shifting. Without someone leading the way, he really couldn't guarantee he'd find the place. Besides, Han Cheng had many things to attend to in the near future, so he really might not be able to pull himself away. Big brother, can't you just tell a lie at a time like this? Ziyan felt somewhat helpless. This big brother of hers was just too blunt. Couldn't he tell a gentle lie to comfort her? Go say goodbye to the queen and the others first. I have a few words to say to Elder Zhu Li. Han Cheng tapped Ziyan's forehead and walked over to the edge of a waterfall out of sight from the mountain peak. In the next moment, Elder Zhu Li appeared before Han Cheng. He was very curious about what Han Cheng wanted to tell him. Elder Zhu Li, I don't know the exact situation of your tribe, but I just want to remind you that behind this girl Ziyan, she still has me, her big brother. A big brother who, before turning 20, can refine grade 8-9 color pills. No matter what you intend to do with Ziyan, you must consider her safety beforehand. If anything happens to her, I will hold everyone on Ancient Dragon Island accountable. Dual-colored eyes of blue and green ignited as he stared directly into Elder Zhu Li's eyes, saying every word with deliberate emphasis. Scorching, violent, like a volcanic eruption, like the roar of the ocean. An intimidating aura no weaker than that of a Dosane expert caused Elder Zhu Li's heart to weigh heavily. He had thought he already placed enough importance on this young man, but he had still underestimated him. Rest assured, little friend, Ziyan possesses the most noble bloodline of our ancient dragon tribe. We would never entertain any harmful intentions toward her. If anyone dares to harm her, they will have to step over my dead body first. Alright, no need to see us off further. Elder Zhu Li, please take extra care to manage this girl Ziyan, she's been spoiled rotten by us. Han Cheng looked at Ziyan's innocent and cute appearance and offered a reminder. Hearing this, Ziyan pretended she hadn't heard a thing, still wearing a reluctant expression. Rest assured, little friend, we will take good care of Ziyan. Elder Zhu Li nodded kindly and had He Qing lead them off Ancient Dragon Island. It was better not to linger in such a situation, making it seem like a poor relative trying to climb higher. After Han Cheng and the others returned to the Fighting Chi continent, they found the nearest city with a spatial wormhole and teleported in the direction of Pill Tower. A few days later, He Qing returned to Ancient Dragon Island once again and saw Ziyan pulling a bitter face. PTU, this tastes awful, what is this, can't you make it taste a bit better? Haha, silly girl, this is good stuff, He Qing said with a grin, feeling that this girl really didn't appreciate good things. Who would have thought that in the next second, Ziyan suddenly burst into wailing tears, and Elder Zhu Li appeared instantly. Ah, this big dummy is bullying me, wah. The smile slowly faded from He Qing's face as he looked at the third elder in disbelief, pointing at himself. Holy Pill City. The most prosperous central city in the Central Plains, and arguably the most bustling in the entire Fighting Chi continent. Holy Pill City is divided into the outer region and the inner region. The sacred ground of alchemists famous throughout the Fighting Chi continent, Pill Tower, is located in the inner region, though the entire Holy Pill City falls under Pill Tower's domain. For instance, as a hub where spatial wormholes converge, there were as many as 8 in the outer region of Holy Pill City alone, which sufficiently demonstrated its prosperity. This Holy Pill City covered a vast area, equivalent to dozens of large cities combined. Only by personally stepping into the sea of people could one truly feel the genuine atmosphere of this most prosperous city on the Fighting Chi continent. Is this the most prosperous city on the Fighting Chi continent? It truly lives up to its reputation. The queen remarked with emotion. It was her first time seeing such a flourishing city. The black dragon, transformed into human form, couldn't take her eyes off everything, looking left and right. It was her first time being in a human city from such close proximity. Venerable Skyfire unconsciously compared the Holy Pill City before him with the memories of his past life, finding that it was even more prosperous now. After all, normal worlds always progress forward. Han Cheng marveled in surprise. He hadn't expected the prosperity of Holy Pill City to be hardly inferior to modern international metropolises. Calling it the most prosperous city on the Fighting Chi continent was truly no boast. Without lingering in the crowd for too long, after briefly experiencing the bustling atmosphere, the group flew into Holy Pill City using the power of Dozun powerhouses. This way, I've found the gathering place for alchemists, though this seems to be just a branch. Han Cheng thought for a moment, but without picking further, he led the group straight down. Han Cheng intended to establish Jindan Tower in Holy Pill City. He figured that even without him personally promoting it, the name of Jindan Tower would soon spread across the Central Plains. However, before that, Han Cheng needed to reveal his identity as a grade 8 alchemist, which would double his results with half the effort. This was a simple and ancient stone tower, which also served as Pill Tower's branch in the outer region. Though called a branch, it was not at all smaller than the Alchemist Guild headquarters in the Jama Empire, and owing to the gathering of alchemists here, it appeared even more massive. Chapter 90, Zonkanzi. Chapter 90, Zonkanzi. There were simply too many people queuing up here to test their alchemist ranks, and Han Cheng had no intention of waiting in line. Although he was upright, he wasn't rigid. Why would he make things hard for himself for no reason? By merely leaking a trace of his powerful soul power, he caused this entire region of heaven and earth to fall silent, and no one dared to utter a single complaint. On the Fighting Chi continent, the strong were supreme. Such a massive commotion naturally alerted the person in charge of this branch, who hurried over to Han Cheng. My lord, this old man is Han Li, a deacon of this branch. I wonder if there is anything this old man can help you with. Seeing Han Chang and sensing the youthful aura radiating from him, a white-haired elder dressed in a purple alchemist robe bowed respectfully. On the path of alchemy, those who achieved mastery were teachers. This is our first time coming to Holy Pill City. I'd like to test my alchemist rank. Where should I go to take the test? A gentle smile hung on Han Chang's face, yet Han Li did not dare to be negligent in the slightest. My lord, you must be a grade 8 alchemist, right? That's right, I can refine 8th grade pills, but I just haven't obtained the rank badge yet. If the lord doesn't disdain this old man, allow me to lead you to the pill tower headquarters in the inner region for the test. A flattering smile appeared on Han Li's face. This was performance art handed down by the heavens. Then I'll have to trouble you. Han Chang nodded. His purpose was precisely to find a local guide to lead the way, otherwise, being completely clueless would be quite troublesome. My lord, this way please. Han Chang turned his head to look at the onlookers and waved his hand. Sorry to disturb you all, goodbye. Safe journey, my lord. A grade 8 Grandmaster disturbing them was their honor, how could they harbor any resentment? Countless pairs of eyes looked at Han Chang's back with intense burning fervor, wishing they could immediately hug this thick and sturdy thigh. Inner region. The inner region of Holy Pill City generally only allowed factions connected to the Pill Tower or high-ranking alchemists to reside there. Therefore, the overall quality of the inner region could not be compared to the outer region. Stepping into the inner region, everyone raised their heads, their gazes freezing on the central area. There, a black pagoda nearly 100 jong tall stood towering, resembling a miniature mountain and giving off a majestic and grandiose feeling. The peak of the giant tower plunged deep into the clouds, making it almost impossible to see the top at a glance. Amidst the swirling clouds and mist, it appeared exceptionally mysterious. Pill Tower. Han Li led the way in front, briefly introducing the history of the Pill Tower along the road. Soon, the group arrived inside the Pill Tower. This giant tower looked magnificent from afar, but once immersed within it, one could even more personally feel the Pill Tower's profound historical heritage. President Zhang Kongzi, why have you personally come? Just as they entered the bright hall for testing alchemist ranks, Han Li was astonished to find that President Zhang Kongzi, one of the normally rarely seen Big Three, had actually come here. He had thought someone among the Pill Tower's 8th grade elders would preside over the testing, but he hadn't expected. Little friend is so young with such startling talent, this old man couldn't sit still for a moment. The plain-looking elder in white said with a smile, his eyes filled with astonishment as he looked at Han Chang. A grade 8 alchemist under the age of 20, even geniuses from the medicine clan couldn't compare to such talent. Junior Han Chang greets President Zhang Kongzi. Han Chang bowed respectfully. Facing a 9-turn peak Gozun on the verge of breaking through to half-saint, who was also a grade 8 alchemist, he still had to show respect. Little friend Han Chang, there's no need for such formalities. Little friend's talent makes this old man quite ashamed. Zhang Kongzi sighed with emotion when he discovered that he couldn't even sense the limit of Han Chang's soul power. Without conducting any meaningless tests, Zhang Kongzi directly took out a grade 8 alchemist badge and handed it to Han Chang. With little friend's soul power, you should be able to refine a 9th grade pill, right? I haven't tried yet. Legend has it that the pill lightning when a 9th grade pill is born requires at least a saint-level expert to resist. Han Chang took the badge and shook his head helplessly. Han Chang carefully glanced at this grade 8 alchemist badge. Flames swirled around it, condensing into the shape of a pagoda, upon which 8 purple gold stars shone brightly. Upon hearing Han Chang's reply, although Zhang Kongzi had been somewhat prepared, he was still inwardly startled to hear him say that. That's right, a 9th grade pill. Zhang Kongzi shook his head. Even in the Pill Tower, there were only a handful of people capable of refining a 9th grade pill. Furthermore, those few were grade 8 alchemists capable of refining 8 color grade 8 pills. As for their success rate in refining a 9th grade pill, it was hard to say. Truly having it in the bag and guaranteeing a stable success rate, aside from the first elder, probably no one else within the Pill Tower could accomplish it. Senior, this junior wishes to set up an enterprise here. However, as this junior has just arrived, I wonder if there are any rules in this inner region. Han Chang acted on the principle of not bothering the same person twice, and moreover, the person before him was a standing manager of the Pill Tower. Understanding Han Chang's intent, Zhang Kongzi said with a smile, there aren't really any rules here in the Pill Tower, especially for little friend. As long as you try your best not to fight within the city, it'll be fine. As for an enterprise, this old man happens to own a courtyard in the inner region. Since I have long resided in the Pill Tower, if little friend doesn't mind, this old man will simply give that courtyard to little friend. Is this appropriate? Han Chang was somewhat surprised, he hadn't expected this old man to be so generous. Haha, little friend can just accept it with peace of mind. It's merely a courtyard, to people like us, it's nothing much. Zhang Kongzi said with a smile. No matter how expensive housing prices were in the inner region of Holy Pill City, could they possibly cost more than an 8th grade pill? A courtyard was, to Zhang Kongzi, nothing more than a wave of his hand. Using it to befriend a genius with limitless potential was truly a bargain. Since that's the case, this junior won't stand on ceremony. Han Chang stopped pretending to be coy. In truth, he hadn't really intended to decline just now, he was merely exchanging polite pleasantries. That's right, follow this old man, little friend. With that, Zhang Kongzi waved his hand and opened a spatial passageway. Han Chang and the others did not hesitate and followed closely behind. Calling it a courtyard was actually an understatement, it was more like a massive manor. The moment he stepped out of the spatial passageway, Han Chang couldn't help feeling a bit surprised as he looked at the sprawling courtyard beneath his feet. But soon he felt that this was only right. On this fighting Qi continent, grade 8 alchemists could be said to be obscenely wealthy on average. If they were willing, enclosing a piece of land the size of Asia as their own territory would be an absolute breeze. In truth, this was also because Han Chang had just left the academy and hadn't stayed in the Central Plains for long. In the future, he would discover that such a courtyard wasn't considered large for someone of Zhang Kongzi's status. Zhang Kongzi led the group for a tour around the courtyard. During this time, Han Chang also voiced his idea for Jinden Tower, wanting to ask this old senior to help give some pointers and advice. Little friend truly possesses a pure heart. After hearing Han Chang's idea, Zhang Kongzi couldn't help but feel a surge of admiration. Such a peerless genius not only wasn't arrogant, but instead wanted to develop together with those who had previously helped him, even casting aside any airs of his status as a grade 8 alchemist. It was his first time seeing such a person. Come to think of it, do grade 8 alchemists even have badges? Zhang Kongzi felt that giving away the residence was the right choice. This Han Chang was definitely a grateful person. Therefore, over the next few days, he personally came over to give Han Chang all-around guidance. Zhang Kongzi felt that giving away the residence was the right choice. This Han Chang was definitely a grateful person. Therefore, over the next few days, he personally came over to give Han Chang all-around guidance. Whatever he didn't understand, he could also find someone to handle. After all, within this holy pill city, he, Zhang Kongzi, still had a lot of prestige. The Jindan Tower was soon built in one of the front yards of the residence. Although it looked small on the outside, there was a spatial expansion array inside, making it quite spacious. In a short span of half a month, a more exquisite and beautiful Jindan Tower rose from the ground. Thanks to Senior Zhang Kongzi, otherwise, if we handled all this ourselves, I'm afraid we would have wasted quite a bit of effort and time. Looking up at this Jindan Tower from the outside, Han Chang couldn't help but sigh with emotion that there were still many good people in this world. The queen pulled long Yue, walking around the Jindan Tower and looking at it up and down, feeling more and more satisfied the more she looked. Because the design of the Jindan Tower was decided by her. Venerable Skyfire stood by Han Chang's side, non-committal about Han Chang's words. Once your talent and potential are realized, you will find that everyone around you is a good person. However, no one would mind being able to do things so easily. Who would want to fight someone to the death over a trivial matter? How nice it was right now, Venerable Skyfire felt quite at ease. No matter how complex a matter was, in front of an ultimate genius like Han Chang, the difficulty would automatically decrease. With the decision-maker of the Pill Tower personally stepping forward to help, what could they not do within Holy Pill City? 5 days later, Han Chang was familiarizing himself with Holy Pill City, accompanying the queen to shop around in the shops here. When he returned home, he saw Zhang Kongzi bringing Xiao Yan and a middle-aged man to visit. Sorry, Senior Zhang Kongzi, Junior Xiao Yan, for keeping you waiting. Han Chang smiled and looked around at these people, guessing inwardly that the handsome middle-aged man should be venerable. Ah, this time it was this old man who came without giving notice. I hope little friend won't mind. Zhang Kongzi smiled apologetically and stood up to introduce the person he brought along this time. Senior Han Chang, Xiao Yan was somewhat surprised, but also felt it was only natural. Aside from the senior of his, there was no one else who could earn such praise from his teacher's old friend. Hee, Junior Xiao Yan, long time no see. Presumably, this must be the famous Wind Venerable, right? It is just some superficial fame. Wind Idol greets Mr. Han. Hee, little friend, this old man is going to trouble you this time. Yao Lao's figure floated out from Xiao Yan's storage ring, greeting them with a chuckle. Since they were old acquaintances, there was no need to hide anything. Seeing this, Zhang Kongzi at the side also breathed a sigh of relief. It was good that they were acquaintances. Senior Yao Lao, I wonder how this junior can help. Han Chang feigned confusion. I wonder if little friend has ever heard of any methods that can resurrect soul bodies like this old man's. Not only have I heard of it, but this junior has also mastered a method to resurrect soul bodies. At the very least, it requires the body of a dozong, the blood essence and bone marrow of a tier 7 magical beast, and a bone melt blood reviving pill. And 3 kinds of heavenly flames to temper the body. Yao Lao blurted out the remaining requirement in surprise, locking eyes with Han Chang. Elderly sir, is this also the method you know? Han Chang smiled and asked in some surprise. What a coincidence. I wonder if little friend thinks this resurrection method is feasible. Yao Lao was only surprised for a moment and didn't care how Han Chang obtained this resurrection method, instead asking about its feasibility. The others were the same, no one cared how he knew, and they all looked at Han Chang curiously. It should be feasible. Senior Skyfire was resurrected by me using this method, and so far there doesn't seem to be anything wrong with it. Yao Lao recalled the white robe elder who had agreed to protect Xiao Yan when they first came to the Central Plains. He hadn't expected. Come to think of it, if the materials used for Senior's resurrection are of high enough quality, your strength after resurrection can even be stronger than during your lifetime. Han Chang said with a smile. That's not bad, this old man thought so too. Yao Lao was in a good mood. With someone paving the way ahead, he felt a lot more relaxed. The few people who came with Yao Lao felt the same way. Having experience was great. The few exchanged glances, and Yao Lao smiled and said, Little friend, originally this old man wanted to ask for your help in refining a bone melt blood reviving pill and borrow your heavenly flame along the way. But now, since little friend has experience in this area, this old man won't bother 2 masters with one matter. As a price, little friend can make 3 requests that do not exceed this old man's capability. How about it? Senior Yao Lao is magnanimous. If this junior were to decline again, I wouldn't even be human. Han Chang said with a smile. 3 requests. Even if he asked to look at all of Yao Lao's pill formulas, that would only count as 1 request. 3 requests, for such a price, he really couldn't refuse. In fact, to increase the value of these 3 requests, he even had to lend a hand. Then I'll have to trouble little friend next. Senior is being too polite. Han Chang smiled. After seeing them off, he took out the 2 sets of medicinal ingredients brought by Yao Lao and the others, and began to ponder whether he should put in a bit more effort and refine the dried corpse of the heavenly demon phoenix as well. Originally, Han Chang had thought of using this dried corpse in exchange for the friendship of the heavenly demon phoenix clan. After all, they were a faction with a Dosheng expert, and currently, the patriarch of the heavenly demon phoenix seemed to be a 5-star Dosheng, making them the strongest among the 3 magical beast clans who could take action at any time. Coupled with his identity as an alchemist, the heavenly demon phoenix clan would surely treat him as an honored guest. By then, Feng Qinger would turn into his mount, the kind he could ride at night, cough cough. It's just that on the way to the Central Plains, Han Chang discovered that the conflicts between races were truly somewhat irreconcilable, because he couldn't remain indifferent seeing that girl Ziyan cry. At the same time, those messy thoughts in his heart had almost vanished during the days he spent accompanied by the queen over this period. A rabbit doesn't eat the grass near its burrow, but I just love taking action against acquaintances. As for those unknown fellows, forget it. Han Chang shook his head helplessly. His changing mindset was one aspect, and Feng Qinger's personality was another. In the original work, she was the only woman who would look down on Xiao Yan even after he became a Dodi or Heavenly Supreme. Feng Qinger's personality was too stubborn. Han Chang dared not be sure if he could subdue this woman. Forget it, if I've offended the Heavenly Demon Phoenix, so be it. Even if the news leaks, if they dare to act up, I'll use a few 9th grade pills as a bounty for the Heavenly Demon Phoenix's monster cores and see who cracks first. Ancient Dragon Island, the Ancient Clan, and Senior Qin's realm, it seems Buddy's trump cards are quite plentiful. As expected of me. After organizing his trump cards, Han Chang discovered that he still had quite a few ways out. Since that's the case, let's do it. Now his relationships with Zhang Kongzi, Yao Lao, Wind Venerable, and Xiao Yan were all quite good. Han Chang had no need to neglect what was close at hand to suck up to the Heavenly Demon Phoenix. 3 requests. What a Ban Chang could do was far more than what a 9-star Dozun could. Stomachache, upset stomach. Only 2 updates today. Sorry lesson __ greater than. Chapter 92, 6 color. Chapter 92, 6 color. 3 days later, everything was ready. Han Cheng's figure appeared on the 9th floor of the Jindan Tower, where the Crimson Myriad Beast Cauldron descended, and the green lotus core flame engulfed the medicinal cauldron, causing large handfuls of medicinal herbs to flow into it like water. The windows of the 9th floor had been opened in advance, treating it as a teaching session. Not far away, watching Han Cheng's fluid and smooth alchemy techniques, Zhang Kongzi and Venerable Yao nodded repeatedly. Although his technique is not as seasoned as his old fellows, little friend Han has already carved out his own path, and in the future, he will surely be a 9th grade grandmaster. Indeed, the more one looks at little friend Han's talent, the more shocking it is. I just wonder how many colors there will be this time. The blood-generating bone-melting pill ranks at the very top of the 7th grade and can step into the ranks of the 8th grade. However, it is still somewhat inferior to a true 8th grade pill. If I were to refine it, it wouldn't exceed 5 colors. After all, the medicinal herbs in the medicinal formula place a limit on the pill's upper limit. 5 colors, that should be enough, hey. Seeing Han Cheng's alchemy technique, Zhang Kongzi knew that success was guaranteed this time. Venerable Yao also nodded happily, but inadvertently caught sight of his disciple beside him, whose eyes were filled with envy, making him feel quite apologetic in his heart. Judging by the current situation, Xiaoyan seemed to have no need to practice the flame mantra anymore. At the very least, it really wouldn't work right now. The green lotus core flame had been seized by Han Cheng first, the fallen heart flame had returned to its original owner, and the whereabouts of the sea heart flame were unknown. Even if Venerable Yao were to give up his own bone-chilling flame for Xiaoyan to swallow, the bone-chilling flame ranked 11th on the strange fire ranking list. For such a strange fire to be swallowed by Xiaoyan now, the success rate had very little guarantee. Strange fires, these rare treasures of heaven and earth, were actually very difficult to find. Don't look at how 4 strange fires, including the bone-chilling flame, were encountered in the Black Corner region. Wanting to find a strange fire across the fighting Qi continent was completely a matter of encountering it by chance rather than seeking it out. Have you not seen that in the original work? Mu Ji, you old man, an elder Zun of the Hall of Souls, an 8th grade alchemy grandmaster, and Venerable Yao's fellow apprentice only obtained a strange fire from Han Feng. During the All-Continent Alchemist Convention, there were only 2 people who possessed strange fires. This was enough to show how rare strange fires were on the fighting Qi continent. Yet, these few suitable strange fires were currently in the hands of acquaintances, and these acquaintances were not weak in strength. For a moment, he was out of ideas. According to normal practice, at this time he should take out an earth-tier cultivation method, have Xiaoyan switch to practice it first, and at least not let his cultivation fall behind too much because of the cultivation method. During this period, he could continuously search for news of strange fires. With the influence of the Starfall Pavilion, coupled with the reputation of Venerable Yao after his resurrection, it was still possible to get news of a few strange fires after spending 10 or 8 years. What troubled Venerable Yao was that Xiaoyan cultivated the flame mantra because of him, his teacher, at least partly because of him. Now that they encountered difficulties, he was asking Xiaoyan to change his cultivation method. This truly felt a bit awkward, and he also felt quite guilty. Moreover, Xiaoyan's situation was very complicated, and in the future, he would inevitably clash with superfactions like the Hall of Souls. Without the flame mantra, he could only guarantee that Xiaoyan's ultimate achievement would not be lower than a dozun, but it was hard to say when he would reach it. And then there was Xiaoyan's little girlfriend, the true ruler of the fighting Qi continent. Without the strength of the Dosheng level, it was impossible for them to end up together. A teacher for one day, a father for a lifetime. Although there wasn't that much danger, Venerable Yao was still very satisfied with Xiaoyan as his disciple. After all, true feelings are seen in adversity. Therefore, as his teacher, he couldn't just wash his hands of the matter like this. If I first let Xiaoyan switch to another cultivation method and break through to Dozong as soon as possible, and then transmit my bone-chilling flame to him, and afterwards let Xiaoyan switch back to practicing the flame mantra, would that be feasible? Venerable Yao fell into deep thought. Exactly 7 years later would be the All-Continent Alchemist Convention. The 3000 burning flame combined with the bone-chilling flame should be able to evolve the flame mantra to a very high level. However, in 7 years, could Xiaoyan, an 8-star Doling, break through to Dozong, crossing the 2 major realms of Dowang and Dohuang? If it were someone else, Venerable Yao could pat his chest and say it could be done. But this was his disciple, he couldn't disregard his disciple's future achievements, and it was impossible to use pills to cram boost Xiaoyan's cultivation. Furthermore, with that bunch of fellows from the Hall of Souls, he feared they wouldn't always let him peacefully nurture Xiaoyan. Quote. They were all troubles, and all major troubles at that, all involving the level of Dosheng, while the strongest person in their Starfall Pavilion was none other than him. During his lifetime, he was a 9-turn Dozun. If he could break through a realm after resurrection, even if it was just one realm, he would really be burning incense to the gods and would have to properly thank Han Cheng. This was simply because after the 9-turn Dozun came the chasm-like Saint Realm. Once one stepped into the Saint Realm, it would be a completely different world. Yet, was it possible? Suddenly, a burst of startling thunder sounded. Venerable Yao looked at the 6-color thunder cloud in the sky, and a few shreds of hope arose in his heart. The dark golden figure took all of the pill lightning head on, and as the thunder clouds dissipated, Han Cheng's figure appeared before everyone. I've done my best. Han Cheng shook his head. The medicinal formula for the blood-generating bone-melting pill had its upper limit right there after all. Little friend, thank you very much this time. This old man owes you another favor. Venerable Yao smiled and cupped his hands, looking at Han Cheng with extraordinary appreciation. Zhang Kongzi exclaimed from the side, little friend, you are far too modest. The two of us previously said that the upper limit of this blood-generating bone-melting pill was a 5-color thunder cloud, and no matter who acted, it would stop there. But I never expected little friend to break this upper limit. You truly surpass a master. Hey, the two of you flatter me. I just had a bit better luck. After Han Cheng exchanged a few modest words, he began to prepare for the next step of the resurrection. Since they happened to be at the pill tower and had Zhang Kongzi, one of the giants, holding down the fort, the safety was maxed out. Speaking of which, Venerable Yao seemed to have a female confidant, who was also the only female giant among the Danta 3 giants. Why wasn't she seen? Han Cheng shook his head without asking further, and followed Zhang Kongzi to the secret room where he was in seclusion, preparing to resurrect Venerable Yao. The relationship between these two old men really seems quite good, actually pulling out such a private place. Han Cheng gained a deeper understanding of the relationship between Venerable Yao and Zhang Kongzi, and then began to inspect the resurrection materials they had prepared. A body of a 9-star Dozun, along with the essential blood and bone marrow of a tier 7 magical beast. Coupled with this 6-color blood-generating bone-melting pill, Han Cheng felt that such materials were somewhat reluctant. Could they allow Venerable Yao to restore his peak strength from his lifetime? Although the materials used by Venerable Skyfire were not as good as Venerable Yao's, his strength during his lifetime was only a 5-star Dozun. Whereas Venerable Yao was a 9-star Dozun during his lifetime. If he wanted to break through a realm, the quality of the materials needed could definitely not be casual. Senior, are you sure you want to use these kinds of materials for the resurrection? Han Cheng looked at Venerable Yao and the others, and seeing the bitter smiles on their faces, he understood. A Dozun's body was not easy to find. To kill a Dozun, at least 3 Dozuns needed to surround an attack to ensure a kill, or else crush them with a massive realm disparity. But right now, none of these were things they could achieve. Chapter 93 Semi-Saint. Chapter 93 Semi-Saint. Let's leave it at that. With this 6-colored medicinal pill from my young friend, I've gained some confidence. Old Yao smiled. The materials currently on hand were just like this, it was better to proceed with the resurrection as soon as possible. Given their current strength, it would still be very difficult to kill a Dozun. Their strength was already inferior to others, so unless absolutely necessary, they would not proactively make a move against the Hall of Souls. Like now, taking advantage of the fact that the Hall of Souls did not yet know Old Yao had returned, quickly resurrecting to restore his strength from before his death was the priority. As for calling for reinforcements, given the status of Pill Tower giants like Zhang Kongzi, being able to do this much was already their limit. After all, the higher their status, the more restrictions each of their actions faced. Especially someone like Old Yao who had previously voluntarily left the Pill Tower, quite a few people found him an eyesore. Han Cheng hesitated for a moment, wondering whether he should take out the dried corpse of the heavenly demon phoenix. Bang! The door opened, and a mature and charming-looking beautiful woman walked in hurriedly. Phew, fortunately, I made it in time. Seeing that the few of them had not yet made a move, Zhang Yi breathed a sigh of relief, patted her towering chest, and took an ice coffin out of her storage ring. Everyone could clearly see the well-preserved corpse inside the ice coffin, and they all simultaneously looked at Zhang Yi. You went too. Zhang Kongzi was somewhat surprised. Could it be that she went grave robbing? I traded for it with a senior. This is the corpse of that senior's enemy, whose cultivation in life was a 1-star Dozun. I told that senior about this matter, and that senior handed this over to me. The favor will be counted on you, old fellow. Zhang Yi spoke in a relaxed tone, her eyes full of radiance as she looked at Old Yao. For a moment, the atmosphere in the secret room began to grow cheerful. Cough cough, Zhang Yi took the initiative to break the silence, looking at Han Cheng and asking, little friend, take a look first and see if this is still useful. It can be used. Han Cheng sensed the energy contained within the Dozun skeleton, nodded and said, then I'll add a bit more for senior. As he spoke, Han Cheng took out the dried corpse of the heavenly demon phoenix. The dense pressure caused the people present to involuntarily brighten their eyes. Except for Xiaoyan, who was almost pressed to the ground by the pressure, when Venerable hurriedly protected the Xiaoyan beside him. This is, the heavenly demon phoenix. Obtained from a spatial secret realm. The blood essence and bone marrow of a heavenly demon phoenix on the verge of advancing to the 8th tier, how about it? Han Cheng said with a smile. Good, Old Yao nodded excitedly, not worrying at all that the heavenly demon phoenix would find out about this matter. Little friend, the favor this old man owes you is getting bigger and bigger. Hee, after breaking through to Dosheng, senior can slowly repay it. That's right, not a single favor can be casually used, we must definitely not let this old fellow off. Zhang Yi echoed Han Cheng from the side. Returning a favor was better than suddenly kicking the bucket. Old Yao gave a bitter smile. Ah, women tilde. Under the terrifying temperature of the green lotus core flame, the blood essence and bone marrow of the heavenly demon phoenix dried corpse were quickly refined. The remaining bone wings of the heavenly demon phoenix were consciously preserved by Han Cheng, while the rest turned into flying ash. Senior, next I will need to borrow your bone-chilling flame for me to control. Han Cheng looked at Old Yao, with the green lotus and the blue cat demon floating on his left and right sides respectively. Seeing this scene, everyone was once again filled with astonishment. 2 types of heavenly flames. Could it be that little friend has also cultivated the flame mantra? Old Yao asked in surprise. In his cognition, apart from cultivating the flame mantra which might allow absorbing 2 heavenly flames simultaneously, there was no other possibility. Hearing this, Xiaoyan looked at Han Cheng with some envy. Was he able to become this powerful precisely because he cultivated the flame mantra? Han Cheng tilted his head feigning incomprehension, and then said, flame mantra. Never heard of it. As for accommodating both of these heavenly flames simultaneously, that is my secret. That's right, it is indeed not the flame mantra. The aura of the cultivation method little friend practices is completely different from the flame mantra. After comparing the auras on the 2 of them, Old Yao discovered that the aura on Han Cheng was completely different from the flame mantra. Xiaoyan was somewhat disappointed. So it wasn't because of the flame mantra. Everyone, please exit outside the door and do not let anyone disturb me. Han Cheng took over Old Yao's bone-chilling flame, as proficient as if controlling his own flame. Seeing this scene, the others slowly retreated from the secret room. It seemed that this young man had already walked ahead of all of them in the path of fire control. Having had the experience once, Han Cheng did it even more easily this time. 7 days later. Han Cheng came out of the secret room. Seeing the crowd surrounding him, Han Cheng smiled and nodded, saying, rest assured, everyone, more than half of it has already succeeded. Next, it depends on Old Yao himself. Hearing this, everyone let out a sigh of relief, pulled the exhausted Han Cheng to sit aside, and rested for a bit. After casually saying a few random words, Han Cheng left. He had been busy all these days, and he wanted to sleep in the queen's embrace to recover his state. This time Yao Chen the fellow really owes a huge favor, hee. Zhang Kongzi looked at Han Cheng's departing back and said with a smile. Owing a favor is better than being killed by someone. He can be resurrected this time, but can he next time? Hee, indeed, indeed. Wind Venerable nodded from the side. He also felt that Yao Chen this old fellow's habit of liking to go out and roam around on his own was not good. Looking at Han Feng's corpse inside the storage ring, Wind Venerable glanced again at the Xiaoyan who couldn't hold on and had fallen asleep beside him. Returning to the courtyard, the queen looked at Han Cheng's exhausted face and said with some heartache, you've worked hard, Cheng. It's nothing, it's just that I haven't seen the queen these past few days and missed you a bit. Han Cheng hugged the queen and returned to the bedroom. Soon, soft breathing sounded. Looking at the handsome young man lying across her chest and deep in sleep, a smile appeared on the queen's face. At the hour of sunrise, Han Cheng, surrounded by a milky fragrance, took a deep breath. Ha, it would be great if it could always be like this. If you want, I will always stay by your side. The queen, hugging Han Cheng from behind, felt as if she was hugging a gigantic pillar holding up the sky, so reliable. Han Cheng looked at the fully emerged sun, narrowed his eyes, and said firmly, 7 years later at the All-Continent Alchemist Convention, after I obtain the 3000 burning flame, we can be together forever. Nothing can separate us. I believe you. Ellipsis. 3 days later. Estimating that the time was about right, Han Cheng came to the pill tower. Unexpectedly, Old Yao had already come out and was chatting with the others, or perhaps waiting for him. But judging by their expressions, it seemed the resurrection went pretty well this time. Hee hee, little friend, you've come. Many thanks to you this time. This old man will not forget little friend's kindness to this old man. Old Yao smiled and welcomed him, saying with a relaxed expression. Han Cheng smiled and asked curiously, seeing that old Yao is in such high spirits, could it be that after old Yao's resurrection, you've become a Dousheng expert? Hearing this, the few people on the side couldn't help laughing, their gazes towards old Yao exceptionally interesting. Cough cough, a true Dousheng this old man is not yet, but right now this old man is a semi-saint. Head hurts back quote, I don't know what's wrong, my state hasn't been very good these past 2 days, sorry lesson _ greater than I'll just do 2 chapters for now. Chapter 94 Spatial Wormhole. Semi-saint, Han Cheng was somewhat surprised, not expecting that Yao Lao could advance to a semi-saint this time without the Dousheng arm. Congratulations, Yao Lao, this way I have also had close contact with a Dousheng expert. Ha ha ha, merely a low-level semi-saint, still not considered a true Dousheng expert. Yao Lao patted Han Cheng's shoulder and smilingly pulled him to be seated. A semi-saint is still a saint, since Yao Lao has broken through to a semi-saint, truly breaking through to a Dousheng is merely a matter of time. Little friend, do not make fun of this old man, who knows how many hundreds of years it will take to truly break through to a Dousheng. Yao Lao shook his head, only after reaching this realm could one understand the terrifying nature of that level. Every minor realm is an insurmountable chasm. Even if you are in peerless genius, being able to cross 1 or 2 minor realms and remain undefeated in a short time is already a heaven-defying performance. After this resurrection, I wonder what plans you have. Why not return to the Pill Tower? Zhan Yi persuaded. First, let's see if little friend has anything urgently needing this old man's help, then return to the Starfall Pavilion to gather news on heavenly flames and teach Xiaoyan. As for returning to the Pill Tower, isn't it pretty good like this now? Hee hee. Yao Lao still rejected Zhan Yi's proposal, he was simply not a person who could settle down. Furthermore, now that he had taken in Xiaoyan as a disciple, as a teacher, could he ignore this little fellow? Speaking of disciples. Speaking of which, this old man still has to thank little friend for helping me clear out that miscreant Han Feng. Mentioning Han Feng, Yao Lao's expression became somewhat complex. It was just a matter of convenience. If Yao Lao wants to thank me, Han Cheng thought for a moment and said, then please trouble Yao Lao to help me build a spatial wormhole from Holy Pill City to Jinnan City in the Black Corner region. Easy to say, but little friend, are you sure? Do you not need this old man to help you kill some enemy, or browse through alchemical formulas and the like? Yao Lao was somewhat surprised. Building a spatial wormhole was not too difficult for a semi-saint, and aside from costing time, there was no other trouble. Even though this spatial passage was very long, if several Dozun experts were invited to join forces, it could also be done, it would merely take a little more time. However, compared to the favor of a semi-saint, these fell far short and were completely unequal. Even Yao Lao himself felt somewhat embarrassed, feeling that he was taking advantage, which was why he confirmed it repeatedly. Sorry to trouble Yao Lao, after all, they chose me. Han Cheng nodded, pointing towards the people from the northwest continent. Right, I also asked Yao Lao and junior brother Xiaoyan to give me some face and not make things difficult for the Cloud Mist sect. I thank you in advance. Senior brother is too polite. At that time, Xiaoyan acted on a moment of impulse, and now he no longer takes it to heart. Hee hee, little friend can rest assured, this old man is not a narrow-minded person. Haha, it seems I worried too much. I will replace wine with tea and penalize myself with a cup. That is true as well. The conflict between Xiaoyan and the Cloud Mist sect had not reached an irreconcilable point. The biggest clashes were the destruction of the Mo family and Xiaoyan creating a ruckus in the Cloud Mist sect. Speaking of which, the Cloud Mist sect was actually the losing party here. However, today's Xiaoyan was no longer what he used to be, and right or wrong might not necessarily be important anymore. Of course, with Han Cheng backing the Cloud Mist sect, it wouldn't fare too badly either. Returning home, Han Cheng confirmed there were no problems, and practiced dual cultivation with the Queen at night, while cultivating the Heaven rank intermediate Do skill given by Elder Qin during the day, Sky Rending Claw. This Do technique had no attribute restrictions and anyone could cultivate it, except that it had a requirement for cultivation level, requiring at least Dozun to cultivate. Half a month later, Venerable Skyfire looked at Han Cheng, who could already completely use the Sky Rending Claw, and thought about how he himself had studied it for over 2 months before getting a clue, couldn't help feeling a wave of frustration. This was why Extraordinary Worlds chased after geniuses so much, this was purely a dimensionality reduction strike. Venerable Skyfire considered himself a trendsetter of the era, breaking through to Dozun over 100 years old, and even devouring a heavenly wonder like the Fallen Heart Flame. His talent was definitely not bad. But after comparing himself with Han Cheng, he felt as though he was just an ordinary person. In fact, ever since Han Cheng integrated the Green Lotus Core Flame into his body, his cultivation talent had been continuously improving. Especially in terms of comprehension, after accommodating the Sea Heart Flame, his talented comprehension had reached a fairly high level. Smoothing out the shattered space again, Han Cheng nodded in satisfaction. With this Sky Rending Claw, we can also cross 3-star cultivation levels to kill enemies in the Dozun realm. If used properly, even higher star Dozuns will have to drink hatred, ha ha ha. The queen took the handkerchief handed over by Long Yu, wiped away the blood on Han Cheng's hands, grabbed Han Cheng's warm, large hands to flip them back and forth for a while, and then she felt relieved. This is not a problem, just get used to it slowly. When it really comes time to use this move, this is simply nothing at all. Han Cheng smiled. Actually, this was his first time using it, and some of the tiny meridians in his hands hadn't endured such energy yet. However, seeing the queen's slender, jade-like fingers, Han Cheng's consciousness sank into the alchemical formulas he collected, searching through them once. Right, are there still pills for Yao Lao to cultivate? Since he was going to refine pills, he might as well refine a few more in one go. Anyway, with his current strength, anything below grade 9 wouldn't take too much effort. The effect of the first pill is still there now. If it's gone, this old man will speak up. Venerable Skyfire smiled. He had already accepted a heaven rank Do skill, so he didn't mind adding this sentence either. An 8th grade pill with 9 colors, even a Dozun expert would take half a year to digest it. Now he could already feel that he was not far from the 7-star Dozun realm, and he estimated that the medicinal efficacy of this pill could still last for 3 to 5 months, until he broke through to 7-star Dozun to completely exhaust it. This guy Han Cheng just liked to smash people with money, and made people unable to refuse, nor was anyone willing to refuse such a young alchemist with infinite potential and a gentle personality. Venerable Skyfire was the same. A heaven rank Do skill was enough to make him submit. The queen still has one left. With her heaven-swallowing python bloodline, in a month she will have nothing left to eat. Long Yu's grade 7 pills are also almost eaten up, but both of their advancement speeds are very fast, and it is estimated that they will advance before long, so let's refine a bit more. Han Cheng calculated the time. Barring any accidents, in a little over a month, Yao Lao would be able to finish the spatial wormhole. During this period of time, his frantic refinement of 8th grade pills could also be considered preheating Jinden Tower in advance. In the next month or so, the colors of the pill lighting above Jinden Tower never dropped below 8 types, and they appeared at an extremely stable frequency in between. What did this indicate? It indicated that the Grandmaster refining pills in the middle had not failed once, achieving a 100% success rate in pill formation. Placed on any grade 8 alchemist, this was unbelievable. Such an astonishing scene naturally attracted countless gazes, and even many experts from other places in Zhongzhou specially came to pay their respects. Well, they could only pay respects from a distance, firstly because of the pill tower, and secondly because there were 3 Dozun level experts holding down the fort over there. Chapter 95, Making a Name. Chapter 95, Making a Name. Venerable Skyfire, a 7-star Dozun, Queen Medusa, a 5-star Dozun, and a heavenly demon puppet exuding the aura of a 9-star Dozun. With the cultivation of these 3 Dozuns, no one beneath the half-saint level was willing to provoke them, especially since the strongest among them, the 9-star Dozun, was a fearless puppet. Destroying the puppet yielded no profit, but being killed by it meant one would be refined into a new puppet. It is happening again. Which pill is this? The 8th one, and it is 9-color pill lightning again. Good heavens, averaging 1 8th grade peak pill every 6 days and successfully refining it every single time. If you ask me, this Mr. Han must be the number 1 alchemist beneath the 9th grade, right? Be confident, drop the, must be, and the, right. You must know that even in the Central Plains, grade 8 alchemists who are competent in refining 8th grade 9-color pills are few and far between, definitely no more than 10. To be able to push almost every single pill to the 8th grade peak like this is something even the former Venerable Yao might not be able to achieve. Hiss, Mr. Han's alchemy skills are actually terrifying to this extent. Hee, the upcoming All-Continent Alchemist Convention in 7 years will be worth watching. I heard that Mr. Han is very young. That being said, I must come over to take a look in 7 years, ha ha ha. There are still 7 years left, by then, a 9th grade pill might even appear. It is not entirely impossible. I just wonder if this Mr. Han is easy to talk to. It would be best if we could get acquainted with him. Hee, this old man has a daughter, just 18 years of age, and she is as pretty as a flower. Ahem, brother, look at the gaze of that person over there. If nothing unexpected happens, that person should be Mr. Han's woman. You are in for some bad luck now. Bad luck, haha, not necessarily. Their cultivation is so formidable, so Mr. Han must be supporting them from behind. If I can get Mr. Han's help, this old man might also reach a 9-star Dozun level in the future. Why not give it a try? Damn, brother, you've got great talent. Come to think of it, I seem to have a little niece as well. For a moment, dozens of figures began to ponder how to get closer to this abruptly emerging top alchemist, while countless pairs of eyes in the shadows stared at the colorful pill lightning. Peak 9-star Dozun. Goodness, this old man actually cannot compare to a puppet. What a good thing. It is a pity that the puppet seems to only be able to advance by absorbing pill lightning. I am afraid only Mr. Han could make that puppet advance so quickly, right? Old Ninth, do you have any thoughts about this Mr. Han? No thoughts. Try not to offend him. The people from the GU clan have already arrived, and given the current situation, it is not appropriate for us to make any big moves. What a pity. How wonderful it would be if you were a member of our Hall of Souls. 8th grade 9-color pills. This old man has not even eaten one yet. Who hasn't? Sigh. Although there was a 9th grade alchemist within their Han clan, that lord could not possibly lower himself to refine pills specifically for them. Furthermore, the other grade 8 alchemists inside the Han clan could at most refine 8th grade pills with 7-color pill lightning. With too many wolves and too little meat, they could not compete with the top few big brothers either. There were quite a few grade 8 alchemists within ancient clans like theirs, but the quality was not very high. Moreover, there were even more powerhouses within the ancient clans, so proportionally speaking, high-level alchemists were still very scarce. As expected of the genius favored by the clan patriarch, such talent is unmatched even by those guys from the medicine clan whose eyes are growing on top of their heads. In just 2 years apart, I did not expect Senior Han Cheng's alchemy skills to have progressed to such a degree. It truly surprises Zuner. Miss, in the future, we will probably have to trouble you to step forward and communicate with this gentleman. We must find this future 9th grade alchemist to our GU clan. Sensing that GU Zuner's expression had turned cold, the two elders on the side quietly shut their mouths, but they did not feel they had said anything wrong. If they had a 9th grade alchemist, their GU clan would not have to keep adopting a steady and safe strategy all the time, they could afford to take some risks. After all, if a Dosheng powerhouse were injured, only a 9th grade pill could be of any help. Of course, 8th grade pills were also useful for minor injuries, but minor injuries could be slowly recuperated, and even some healing cultivation methods or Do techniques could alleviate them. After the 9-color pill lightning ended, the aura of the deep dark golden figure had reached an extreme and could no longer break through. Peak 9-star Dozun was its limit. Sensing this, Han Cheng also stopped and did not continue refining. Speaking of which, Wind Venerable had given him the corpse of that 9-star Dozong as a return gift for Han Feng's corpse, so he had to find time to refine a new heavenly demon puppet. Since he was not refining 8th grade pills anymore, he would refine 7th grade energy pills instead. Under Han Cheng's crazy, money-burning style of feeding, Long Yu had now reached the high-order Dozong level. However, he could not refine too few of these 7th grade energy pills, and he could not forget Ziyan's share either. As for the 8th grade energy pills, he would start preparing them when Long Yu was ready to advance. Putting away these successfully refined pills, Han Cheng stretched his body and felt that he was okay, not particularly tired. After all, every night moonlight would replenish his soul power, greatly alleviating his fatigue. Even if there were dark clouds, the queen and the others would dispel them, so although Han Cheng had refined endlessly for 50 days, he wasn't very tired. Instead, he felt that his soul power had increased quite a bit. As the brilliant sun rose, a gentle smile hung on Han Cheng's face as he walked out of the 9th floor of Jinden Tower. Slightly perceiving with his soul power, Han Cheng knew that his warm-up activity this time was a success. With no less than 100 auras of Dozun powerhouses, wouldn't he take off directly now? Half a year from now, Jinden Tower will officially open for business. Everyone is welcome to attend then. This seat is a bit tired and cannot explain the details to everyone. Next, I will have to trouble Venerable Skyfire to explain the rules of Jinden Tower to everyone. After saying that, Han Cheng's figure, holding the queen in his arms, returned to the residence. Venerable Skyfire appeared in the air at the same height as the 8th floor of Jinden Tower. At the same time, Long Yu brought over a huge stone tablet from somewhere, with the 3 large characters, Jinden Tower, written on it. The back displayed the alchemy rules of Jinden Tower, which now serve as Venerable Skyfire's teleprompter. Quote. These are the rules of our Jinden Tower. However, the alchemy time will not exceed half a year at most, meaning that every 5 years, there will only be 20 chances. Everyone, please make your preparations in advance. Venerable Skyfire thoughtfully helped calculate this, causing everyone, whose faces had previously been pleasantly surprised, to instantly tense up. They look at each other, pondering in their hearts how to snatch an opportunity from among these people. Right, if any of you do not know which kind of pill is suitable to choose, you can come find this old man. Mr. Han has listed an inventory for me, ranging from top-tier 7th grade pills that have a chance to let a peak 9-star dozong break through to dozun, all the way to the Bodhi pill that can allow a peak dozun to break through to a half-saint. They are all available. Chapter 96, The Beginning. Chapter 96, The Beginning. Exploded. The entire inner region of Holy Pill City exploded. That inner region of Holy Pill City, which was usually filled with a noble and elegant aura unique to high-level alchemists, had exploded. Of course, if anyone here wants a 9th grade pill, it is possible, you just need to step in and deal with the black demon lightning of that 9th grade pill. Upon hearing Venerable Skyfire's subsequent sentence, the speechless crowd wished they could annihilate everyone else right then and there so they could exclusively enjoy such good news all by themselves. No one would doubt that an alchemist capable of a 100% success rate in refining 8th grade 9 color pills could not refine a 9th grade pill. They would only feel that this alchemist's success rate in refining 9th grade pills simply couldn't compare to his success rate in refining 8th grade pills. But his success rate for refining 8th grade pills was 100%. With such a success rate, even a 9th grade alchemist might not be able to achieve it, right? Since that was the case, one could draw a conclusion. Mr. Han had the ability to refine 9th grade pills. As for the possibility that the success rate might be slightly lower, no one cared. The success rate of a 9th grade alchemist refining a 9th grade pill wouldn't be very high either. For a time, hundreds of streaks of light shuttled through space, leaving the place at the fastest possible speed. Most of them had the pills and medicinal formulas they wanted to refine, and of course, quite a few people walked into Jinden Tower. In an instant, with Holy Pill City as the center, an invisible storm named Jinden Tower rapidly spread in all directions across the Fighting Chi continent. Perhaps before today, the name Jinden Tower was unknown to all, but after today, Jinden Tower would become a sacred land dreamed of by countless people. With alchemy standards that had almost no threshold, no one could refuse. Although there were only 20 pills every 5 years, they didn't feel that Mr. Han was stingy. On the contrary, Mr. Han was already very merciful. If they couldn't snatch the opportunity, it must be their own problem. Han residence. Lying in the queen's arms, smelling the milky fragrance while basking in the sun, Han Cheng felt that he had fully recovered. Ah tilde. Ah tilde, come again. The queen's slender, jade-like fingers picked up a small red fruit and fed it to Han Cheng. Feeling the tip of her finger being licked, the queen's face turned rosy. It must have been from the sun. Han Cheng moved his head, and the queen understood, stopping the feeding and beginning to massage his body. How sensible. You, this little maidservant, can continue to stay by this young master's side. Young master, is it? I'll let you be a young master and maidservant. I was wrong, queen. Show mercy. In the future, I'm the one who will give you happiness tilde. HMPH, I don't want it right pointing arrow underscore right pointing arrow. Hee. Han Cheng smiled as he looked at the queen's proud and spoiled expression, finding her more and more endearing the more he looked. Night fell. 2 8th grade pills were given to Venerable Skyfire, the remaining 5 were given to the queen, and 1 healing pill was kept by Han Cheng for contingencies. The spatial wormhole had been constructed a few days ago, and Wind Venerable had specifically made a trip to determine the coordinates of Jinden City. But who made this returning a favor for a good buddy? Wind Venerable gladly accepted it. Moreover, this time when Wind Venerable went over, he also had to teach Jinden City the method of making spatial ships. In the future, anyone below the Dozong level using spatial wormholes would have to buy a spatial ship. This could be said to be an industry where one could make money just by lying down. According to Jinden City's regulations, this was considered Han Cheng's private industry, except that the people working there could receive a certain amount of points. 3 days passed, and Han residents welcomed a few special guests. Isn't this junior sister Zuner? Haven't seen you in a few years, and you've gotten even prettier. Senior is joking. Zuner certainly cannot compare to this sister-in-law in beauty. Junior sister, you really know how to talk. If you come to Jinden Tower, I'll give you a 20% discount. Senior, you really are generous. Han Cheng and the queen sat in the main seats, Ji Zuner sat in the guest seat, and 2 aged Dozong sat below Ji Zuner. There weren't many people in Jinden Tower right now. Venerable Skyfire was still cultivating the rending sky claw, and according to him, he already had a feel for it. Long Yu walked in holding a pot of tea. After pouring the tea, she respectfully stood by Han Cheng's side. I wonder what brings junior sister here this time, Han Cheng asked curiously, although in his heart he knew that Ji Zuner had mostly come out this time to meet her lover. The queen on the side carefully looked over this eloquent young girl. How old was she, yet she was already a Do Huang. The queen's gaze unconsciously turned towards Han Cheng, a 19-year-old Dozong. Well, she was still a bit lacking compared to her man. However, compared to anyone else, it was extremely terrifying. Even she had only advanced to Do Huang at the age of 30 back then, and reached the peak of Do Huang before the age of 40. Then, she stayed at that realm for several decades, and now she was nearly 70 years old. Thinking of this, the queen's mouth twitched involuntarily. This should be considered an old cow eating tender grass, right? Senior, you probably don't know how big of a commotion your brilliant display caused this time, do you? Ji Zuner said with some surprise. An alchemist who can refine an 8th grade 9 color pill in 6 days is an extremely rare existence even among forces like ours. Not to mention that Senior refined so many peak 8th grade pills in one go, even those people from the medicine clan couldn't do it. Hee, junior sister flatters me. No matter how powerful a grade 8 alchemist is, they are not on the same level as a 9th grade alchemist. I still need to temper myself more. Han Cheng shook his head. If he were a 9th grade alchemist, the people standing before him now would at least include a Ban Cheng. That's right, junior sister, have you gone to see junior brother Xiao Yan? Quote. Senior helped brother Xiao Yan's teacher resurrect and even break through to the Ban Cheng realm. Zuner truly has to thank Senior. Ji Zuner's expression was somewhat complex. Xiao Yan was now 20 years old, and still a 9-star Doling, furthermore having just broken through. Such talent was already very good for forces like the 4 pavilions, but from the perspective of the Ji clan, it was no different from an ordinary person. If it weren't for Yao Lao breaking through to the Ban Cheng realm this time and gaining the qualification to make the Ji clan face him squarely, I'm afraid the smile on Ji Zuner's face today wouldn't be so sincere. Sigh, how should I put it, I am your senior after all, and it wasn't a particularly troublesome matter, hee. Han Chang didn't care about Ji Yuzuner's verbal thanks, he didn't need to romance Ji Yuzuner anyway. Moreover, after the gains from Senior Elder Qin, Han Chang wasn't really lacking in other aspects, except for lacking heaven-rank Do skills. But the problem was that an existence like heaven-rank Do skills couldn't possibly be found everywhere in the Ji Yu clan, nor could they be casually taken out. Even for an ancient clan, heaven-rank Do skills existed as a foundational heritage and could not be easily leaked out. Furthermore, if others were not considered, Han Chang's own particularity meant he didn't need fire attribute heaven-rank Do skills at all. Comprehending the origin of heavenly flames allowed him to connect with the will of heaven and earth. Every single heavenly flame was a heaven-rank Do technique, and its power was definitely not inferior to the rending sky claw. Even because of Han Chang's cultivation improvement, high-tier heaven-rank Do techniques might not necessarily compare to it. Speaking of which, because Han Chang's talent and achievements in the way of an alchemist were too astonishing, coupled with his harmless identity and stance, anyone with half a brain would not willingly offend him. Speaking of which, because Han Chang's talent and achievements in the way of an alchemist were too astonishing, coupled with his harmless identity and stance, anyone with half a brain would not willingly offend him. Those who offended him were just small fries, the kind Han Chang could crush to death with a single slap, making it totally unnecessary to use any ultimate moves. Senior, if Jinden Tower needs any help, you can just tell Zuner. My ancient clan still has some strength. Alright, if there's anything I need help with, I certainly won't stand on ceremony with junior sister. However, it currently seems everyone is quite giving face, and the senior veterans also take good care of me. With a figure like Senior, who wouldn't be willing to be on good terms? Ji Yuzuner smiled slightly, feeling a bit envious in her heart, but she didn't forget her main business, giving Han Chang a few of the ancient clan's various liaison points of different priorities in Holy Pill City. Furthermore, Ji Yuzuner solemnly handed Han Chang a spatial jade slip. Seeing how solemn Ji Yuzuner was, Han Chang had a few guesses in his heart regarding the strength of the powerful experts that this spatial jade slip could summon. It seemed the ancient clan attached great importance to him as a future 9th grade alchemist, reaching such a degree. This clearly exceeded his expectations. Afterwards, Ji Yuzuner briefly talked about the situation of the 8 ancient races, as well as some character biographies recorded in the ancient clan's history books, and for a time they conversed very happily. At sunset, Ji Yuzuner timely proposed to take her leave. Why doesn't junior sister have a simple meal at my humble abode before leaving? Han Chang made a polite retention. There's no rush for this time. Zuner will meet Senior frequently in the future, and I just hope Senior won't find Zuner annoying by then. Definitely not. Seeing her out the main gate and feeling the spatial fluctuations gradually fade away, Han Chang turned around, wrapped his arms around the queen, and returned to the courtyard. As moonlight descended, the two began today's dual cultivation. In the blink of an eye, over a month had passed, and Han Chang was thinking of making some interesting 5th or 6th grade pills to increase the competitiveness of Jinden Tower. A knock on the door sounded. Han Chang, who was deep in thought in the study, raised his head, spread his soul power, and saw the person coming. Putting away his things, Han Chang walked out of the study, took a single step, and arrived in front of the courtyard gate. Opening the door, it turned out to be Wind Venerable who had brought people over. Mr. Han, I have brought the people. I will take my leave first. Wind Venerable said with a smile. You've worked hard, Wind Venerable. Why not have a cup of tea? Han Chang glanced over. They were all old acquaintances. No, I won't disturb your reunion. I need to go back and take a look at Starfall Pavilion, and see what kind of shape that fellow Yao Chen has managed it into. Wind Venerable refused with a smile and turned to leave. Han Chang smiled, looked at the dazed crowd, and said, What's wrong, everyone? Don't you dare recognize me anymore. Little brother, is that Jinden Tower also ours? Yafei covered her mouth and asked with wide eyes. Everyone's gazes were almost entirely fixed on that Jinden Tower. Compared to the one in the Black Corner region, this Jinden Tower looked much more magnificent. In fact, from Han Chang's perspective, there wasn't much difference, except that because this was Holy Pill City, it had a halo bonus. They are all ours. Let's go into the courtyard first and talk slowly. In fact, not many people came this time, they were all upper echelons, with strengths at least at the Dowang level. Apart from Yafei, who was a special existence, no one could ignore her. In the main hall, everyone took their seats respectively. After the queen came out, Washier actively stood by the queen's side. Han Chang carefully looked around. The master and disciple Yunshan and Yunyun had come, but Nal and Yanran hadn't. Only Washier came from the Snake People tribe, Hai Bodong came from the Middle Family, Tangshan hadn't, President Fa Ma of the Alchemist Guild came, and Ji Yui hadn't. It's been a year, and it seems everyone has been doing quite well, haha. After looking around, Han Chang found that these people's cultivations had all improved. Thanks to you, little brother, Jinden City has developed exceptionally smoothly and has now become the most prosperous city in the Black Corner region. Looking at Han Chang, this young fellow, Yafei wore a rich smile on her face. Indeed, thanks to Mr. Han, we people are living very comfortably now. With Mr. Han around, no one in the Black Corner region dares to provoke us. Jinden City is now called the City of Peace by everyone, and no one dares to make a move inside Jinden City. Over the past year, with Jinden City backed by Han Chang, no blind fools provoke them, save for the occasional little ant, which didn't matter anyway. Those with true strength would not provoke a force like Jinden City, instead, they were all scrambling to express their goodwill. That's good. In more than 4 months, the Jinden Tower here will open. We don't need too many people here, but anyone present who is interested can come. For the next few years, I won't go back, so I'll have to trouble everyone to take care of Jinden City. Han Chang told them about his subsequent development plan. Jinden City in the Central Plains would open once every 5 years. During the rest of the time, the lower 6 floors would be left for them to manage. Regarding Han Chang's idea, everyone had no objections. After all, Jinden City had already kept them so busy that their feet were hitting the back of their heads. If another Jinden City were to appear in the Central Plains, their manpower would not be enough. Having just a Jinden Tower was quite good. Another reason Han Chang did this was because of Huntiandi. The Northwest Continent didn't seem to be covered by the formation, so even if things took a drastic turn for the worse, the Northwest Continent would be a bit safer. After finishing with a few simple words, Han Chang let them move about freely. After all, they were not weaklings, they didn't need to worry about being bullied or similar problems. Han Chang had the queen lead sister Yafei and a group of women to tour all around Holy Pill City, buying some worthless little trinkets. Well, they were worthless things to Han Chang, only amounting to 2 7th grade pills combined. As time passed, 4 months went by, and the opening time of Jinden Tower drew closer and closer. Every day, figures carrying powerful auras haunted the space near Jinden Tower. After becoming familiar and understanding things during this period, Yafei quickly arranged Jinden Tower properly. With a direct spatial wormhole, it was still very convenient for them to move around, even though a round trip took 2 months. Below the 6th floor, different floors had different structures, with food, drink, and entertainment all arranged. In fact, aside from pills, there was nothing particularly special about it, and it was no different from the goods sold in most shops. But this was Jinden Tower. Many people didn't come here for food, drink, or entertainment. One must know that this was the inner region of Holy Pill City, and those who came and went were all big figures. They came into Jinden Tower to be the first to see Han Chang appear and wait for the start of that day. Even if they couldn't snatch those qualifications, coming here to watch the excitement was also good. 8th grade pills were not something just anyone could see, this was Jinden Tower's unique advantage. Furthermore, there were also quite a few alchemists who had no clues for a breakthrough and had been stuck at their current grade all along. Now, having heard of the existence of Jinden Tower, they were all thinking of joining Jinden Tower to receive guidance from that Grand Master. Chapter 98, Madness. On the morning of Jinden Tower's grand opening, the inner region, which should have been quieter than the outer region of Holy Pill City, already had an atmosphere starting to heat up. Clearly, a breeze blew from time to time today, and the air was not very dry, but the temperature in the inner region still rose. Clack. The door on the 1st floor opened, followed by the windows on the 2nd floor, the 3rd floor, the 4th floor, and the windows on the 8th floor also opened. In an instant, just like a flash of lightning and a roll of thunder, 20 figures appeared inside the 8th floor of Jinden Tower, and then the windows of the 8th floor closed. Those who failed to enter in time could only stop silently. This was not a place where they could act willfully with their Dozun cultivation, unless they were willing to give up all future opportunities. Moreover, although the 8th floor was full, on the 7th floor, their Dozun cultivation was more than secure. 28th grade pills, 10 7th grade pills, Mr. Han was truly too merciful. Truly, he made me cry to death. Being scrambled by a group of Dozun and Dozon experts to give things due, Venerable Skyfire and Yunshan, who were responsible for recording, finally witnessed what a grand scene truly was. 3 portions of medicinal materials plus tens of millions of gold coins worth of items definitely had to be given, but would anyone really just give Mr. Han this little? Anyone with a bit of sense would have to show a little token of appreciation, right? At the very least, everyone was already a Dozun, so giving a D-rank Do technique or a D-rank cultivation method shouldn't be a difficult task, right? Or, catering to his preferences, giving a few more precious medicinal materials and medicinal formulas, weren't these all expressions of sincerity? Mr. Han didn't mention this, but you couldn't not give it. If you didn't give it, next time you might not be guaranteed a spot. This was worldly wisdom. Those who understood it called it human favors, and those who didn't called it trouble. Although Mr. Han wouldn't fuss over these things, everyone else gave gifts, and if you didn't. Anyway, that was the situation. When Han Chang saw the list in the medicinal materials and items brought up that night, he found that everyone had given a little extra token of sincerity. Sigh, it seems wherever there are people, there's this set of rules. Forget it, as long as it's not excessive, it's fine. Han Chang smiled and shook his head, not minding these things, and took out his medicinal cauldron to start refining pills. What if he accepted some of their tokens of sincerity? What if someone was unconvinced? What if someone questioned the rules of Jinden Tower? If you were unconvinced, go find another grade 8 alchemist on the Fighting Chi continent who took action regularly like Han Chang without looking at the identity of the visitor, and have that person whose fees weren't higher than Han Chang's refine pills for you. If you could really find one, then that might not be the Fighting Chi continent. Unless you changed to another grade 8 alchemist and someone introduced and connected you, unless you brought out a heaven-ranked Do skill or cultivation method at that heaven-defying price, who would even pay attention to you? Let alone, this was a peak grade 8 alchemist. Amid everyone's expectant gazes, at noon on the 7th day, the first 9-color thundercloud emerged. After a burst of crackling thunder, a pale golden puppet floated beside Jinden Tower. How amazing, a peak grade 8 pill has already been refined just like that. It's my first time seeing it too, but looking at their expressions, it should be. At a glance, you guys must be seeing Mr. Han refine pills for the first time. Our Mr. Han is now the #1 alchemist on the continent, with an ultra-high success rate that even a 9th grade alchemist might not be able to achieve. What is that? How can it still absorb thunder energy to upgrade? Hee, that is Mr. Han's unique method. I seem to have seen that thing somewhere before, it looks like a kind of puppet. Nonsense, even a fool can tell, okay. No, what I mean is, this seems to be like the puppets inside some spatial secret realms. That's completely normal. After all, it's Mr. Han. Even if you said Mr. Han obtained a heaven-ranked Do skill, I would believe it. Exactly. What does it matter if someone like Mr. Han takes a few puppets? We wouldn't make an enemy of Mr. Han anyway. Quote. Stopping to rest for a while every 2 months, Han Chang also intentionally interspersed some 7th grade pills in between. After half a year like this, Han Chang felt that his soul power at the mid-stage of the heavenly state had improved by a huge margin. If it were an ordinary 9th grade alchemist doing this like him, they would probably be exhausted and collapse in less than 3 months. But Han Chang was different. He devoured moonlight essence, which was of great help in improving soul power and eliminating fatigue. Now that half a year had passed, Han Chang wasn't as exhausted as imagined, because he even recovered his state while refining 7th grade pills in the middle. He now felt somewhat like an ordinary person who had only slept for 3 hours a night. Sorting the pills into various categories, Han Chang handed all the pills needed on the list to Venerable Skyfire and Yunshan for distribution. Stepping out from the window of the 9th floor at noon, Han Chang glanced at the silent crowd, smiled, and waved his hand. Everyone can go get the pills you need. Please do not make it difficult for us at Jinden Tower. Thank you everyone, we will see you in 5 years. After saying this, completely ignoring the countless shocked gazes gathered on him, he turned around and left. Until the windows of the 7th and 8th floors opened and those 30 figures entered, the crowd who had fallen into silent shock finally woke up. Is that Mr. Han? Half a year, a full half year of uninterrupted pill refining, this is simply not human. And they are all 100% successful pills, with not a single mistake in between. Compared to Mr. Han, those lords in our clan look like just started apprentices. Ahem, mind your image, don't let others hear, even though I think so too. Woo, Mr. Han, I want to be your dog. Bah, shameless scoundrel. You don't want to? Hengang, of course I don't want to, because I know I am not worthy to be Mr. Han's dog. Consider yourself having some self-awareness, kid. Did you see that? That person is Mr. Han's servant, who is already a peak tier 7 magical beast. It is estimated that it won't be long before it becomes a tier 8 magical beast. Sigh, incomparable, incomparable. However, if a magical beast with a powerful bloodline can encounter a generous alchemist like Mr. Han, its future is indeed bright. In less than a century, it might even break through to Doshang. Quote. Chinger, did you hear? Teacher, I'd better forget it, Mr. Han might not necessarily look favorably upon me. Quote. Teacher, don't look at me, I'm not envious at all. No, I was just looking at that old fellow Thunder Venerable, his disciple seems to be a heavenly demon phoenix, right? Quote. Jie, as expected of Mr. Han, Lao Ba, why don't the two of us give it a try next time? Lao Ju, what you said is spot on, it's just that given our identities, and Mr. Han is also an alchemist, I'm afraid he won't like us. Sigh, isn't that simple? Just give Mr. Han a few more tokens of sincerity. Lao Ba, what are you still hesitating for? The highest grade pills the two of us have ever eaten were only 5 color grade 8 pills. How difficult cultivation is after the 7-star dozun, both you and I know clearly. Chapter 99, The Stir Caused by the Eternal Youth Pill. Chapter 99, The Stir Caused by the Eternal Youth Pill. Han Chang, known in the pugilistic world as Mr. Han, was a godlike existence and the universally acknowledged #1 alchemist of the Fighting Chi continent, the kind who wouldn't even give 9th grade alchemists the time of day. Ultra-long standby, refining medicinal pills continuously for half a year without stopping, with the lowest being Tier 7 advanced medicinal pills and the majority being Tier 8 peak medicinal pills. This alone was enough to utterly crush 99.99% of the alchemists on the Fighting Chi continent. 100% success rate, the frequency of pill lightning appearing was extremely stable, which implicitly indicated 0 failures, similarly defeating 99.99% of the alchemists on the Fighting Chi continent. In merely a day and a night, Han Chang had become the continent's #1 alchemist in everyone's eyes, and his reputation had grown to an unimaginably vast degree. As Jinden Tower, personally established by Mr. Han, it rode arrogantly atop the heads of the two sects with an extremely overbearing posture, becoming a superfaction second only to the one hall and one tower. Although there was only Mr. Han himself, in everyone's eyes, that was already enough. No one doubted what kind of energy such an alchemist possessed. Just from the release of this ranking, the remaining 2 sects, 3 valleys, and 4 pavilions tacitly accepted it. From their complete lack of any negative reaction, it could be seen that these fellows must have obtained quite a few benefits at this Jinden assembly. Actually, it was primarily Jinden Tower's neutral attribute that prevented these factions from foolishly offending an alchemist capable of continuously refining high-grade medicinal pills. No matter how abnormal one's brain was, one still knew that when facing experts, unnecessary hostility should be avoided. A single Jinden assembly had elevated Jinden Tower to a transcendent position, naturally attracting countless people who wanted to closely pay their respects to Mr. Han's Jinden Tower. Although usually only the lower 6 floors were open, after taking a stroll around, some people found themselves unable to leave, their wallets shrinking by a huge margin. Medicinal pills originally created by Han Chang like the wrath of the Emperor moved many people's hearts, leading them to fiercely contend in the 6th floor auction house. And yet another reason that made Jinden Tower's business even more explosive was the Tier 5 Eternal Youth Pill. It did not increase cultivation, had no healing effects, and possessed not a single serious effect. Its only effect was to grant you eternal youth, allowing you to return to youth even if you had grown old. Yet just such a seemingly uninteresting medicinal pill that was completely useless for improving strength caused Jinden Tower's business to skyrocket, with the auction house packed to capacity almost every single session. Furthermore, it wasn't just women participating in the auction, there were also quite a few men. Medicinal pills like this, beauty, pill belonged to the most unorthodox of unorthodox pills on the Fighting Chi continent. Ordinary people wouldn't care about their appearance. After all, as long as one's strength was formidable, that was enough. That was precisely the situation over in the Black Corner region. Aside from a very few women willing to buy one, everyone else wouldn't give it priority consideration. Who could have known that the Central Plains region would be completely different? To think that so many people actually cared about their appearance. Logically speaking, after breaking through major realms, one would grow younger. With so many experts in the Central Plains, everyone shouldn't have any appearance anxiety. A Tier 5 medicinal pill was bid up to tens of millions of gold coins. Who could have imagined it? Pill Tower. Tian Lizi and Zhang Kongzi watched as Zhang Yi consumed the Eternal Youth Pill, restoring her appearance to that of an 18-year-old youthful maiden while her body remained a mature, luscious peach. When such a visually impactful scene appeared before their eyes, they were stunned. Recovering their wits, the two of them exchanged a glance and tacitly nodded. Back when they were young, who wasn't a handsome fellow? Wasn't it just 10 million gold coins? For people like them, being able to restore their youthful appearance made this money well spent. Inside the auction house on the 6th floor of Jinden Tower, relying on aura perception, Zhang Kongzi discovered quite a few old acquaintances. Everyone exchanged glances and smiled tacitly. Bah, a bunch of shameless old sluts. The storm surrounding the Eternal Youth Pill grew increasingly intense, until an elderly 9-star Dozong consumed this medicinal pill, recovered a bit of youthful mindset, and with a single exertion, broke through to Dozun. With this, the Eternal Youth Pill was pushed to its peak by everyone. Even though Yafei had already instructed the auctioneer to clarify the medicinal pill's effects prior to the auction, it still failed to dampen everyone's enthusiasm. Everyone was well aware of this medicinal pill's effects, but that didn't prevent them from trying it out to see if they could replicate that miracle. Anyway, they weren't short of this bit of money, so just go for it. Han Residence. Han Cheng looked at the queen, whose youth had been restored, and found that there weren't many changes, except that her temperament seemed to have become even more adorable. Cheng, I really feel like I've grown quite a bit younger now. The queen closed her eyes, lying on Han Cheng's lap. In the garden, Han Cheng sat cross-legged on the ground while the queen lay on Han Cheng's body basking in the sun, feeling as though she had grown quite a bit younger. That's just your psychological effect. You were already very young to begin with. A Dozun expert under 100 years old won't experience much change even after taking the Eternal Youth Pill. Han Cheng pinched the queen's cheeks, affection flashing through his eyes. HMPH, you only know how to say things people love to hear. The queen turned her head, looking at Han Cheng's still youthful appearance in his age of 20, feeling a thrilling sensation deep inside her heart. Sigh, I also wonder if you'll look for someone younger after I grow old in the future. Han Cheng's mouth twitched as he placed his hand on the queen's chest and said seriously, with me here, you will never grow old, and moreover, I only like big ones. Oh, is it this big, or is it a big age? The queen asked with a smiling expression, seemingly already accustomed to this restless hand moving around wildly on her body. Both, preferably just like you, queen. Han Cheng turned over and lay down on the grass, placing his arm beneath the queen's head. After listening to Jinden City's year-end report, Han Cheng obtained the gold coins he wanted, and everyone else also obtained what they wanted. It could be said to be a win-win situation. During this period, quite a few people also came to visit Han Chang to beg for medicinal pills. Those whose status wasn't enough were dismissed by others, while those whose status was enough were personally dismissed by Han Chang. Are you kidding me? Who do you all think you are? You want me to make a move just with a tier D cultivation method or DO technique? You must be out of your mind in your sleep. Han Chang discovered that if things went on like this, he would never have a moment of peace. He prepared to leave Holy Pill City with the Queen to take a look around various places on the Fighting Chi continent, treating it as a relaxation. The Queen had been busy for the Snake People tribe her whole life, and now things could be considered to have gotten onto the right track, not requiring her constant worry every moment. Although Han Chang's mind and body weren't very tired during the previous period, his soul was tired. In truth, he just wanted to go out and stroll around. However, before leaving, he first had to make a trip to Pill Tower to have those three giants help look after Jinden Tower. Although he had left behind the two heavenly demon puppets and venerable Skyfire, this was Pill Tower's territory after all. Only after arriving at the topmost floor, Han Chang did not see the middle-aged beautiful woman and two old men he had imagined. Instead, there was a voluptuous, youthful maiden, as well as a handsome youth and another youth who looked somewhat dark yet very heroic and majestic. Quote. Han Chang looked at the appearances of these three people, then sensed the auras of the three of them, his expression becoming somewhat odd. Why did he feel it was so strange? Chapter 100, 3 years later. Chapter 100, 3 years later. After bidding farewell to these three giants, Han Chang felt that his eternal youth seemed to have caused some sins, and it might end up bringing out quite a few age gap romances and twilight romances. However, thinking that these old seniors could still experience a second spring, Han Chang felt that this could also be considered a contribution to the population development of the Fighting Chi continent. Everything was ready. Han Chang took the Queen, chose a direction, and flew out of Holy Pill City. Long Yu was about to advance, so Han Chang did not bring her. This time it was just the two of them. Visiting Mr. Han, what a coincidence, Mr. Han went into seclusion not long ago. Externally, it was said to be seclusion, one had to leave some face for others, right? Could it be that they had to say you were not qualified to see Mr. Han? Whether it was Jinden City or Jinden Tower, both operated with complete systems and did not require Han Chang to stare at them every moment. With Jinden Tower's current energy, when encountering problems, dispatching a Do Huang expert was sufficient to handle them most of the time. In short, everything was developing in a good direction. Thus, 3 years later. After 3 years of development, whether it was Jinden Tower in Zhongzhou or Jinden City in the Black Corner region, both were thriving. It was just that because development was too fast, usable and reliable manpower was no longer enough. To solve this trouble, Jinden Tower held a high-level meeting. Some old friends who had not seen each other for a long time began to greet each other enthusiastically. F.A. Ma, you old fellow have also advanced to Dozong. Hee, you are allowed to advance to Dozong, Hai Bodong, but this old man is not allowed to advance to Dozong. President F.A. Ma, Senior Hai Bodong, Ji Yu He is late. Haha, Ji Yu He, you are not late. The meeting won't start for a while. Master Ji Yu He. Master Ji Yu He. Master Ji Yu He refined a 7th rank intermediate medicinal pill not long ago. It won't be long before he becomes the 2nd 8th rank Grand Alchemist Master of our Jinden Tower, right? Sigh, I will borrow the Grand Commander's auspicious words. Ji Yu He gave a bitter smile and said with deep emotion, that 7th rank intermediate medicinal pill was merely a fluke of success for me. If it were not for Mr. Han's experiential guidance, I might still only be a 6th rank alchemist now. After reaching the 7th rank, Ji Yu He finally understood why no one opposes Mr. Han being revered by everyone as the continent's #1 alchemist. The further up one goes, the more one can understand how difficult it is to successfully refine a medicinal pill. Like Mr. Han, Ji Yu He is afraid he will never be able to do it in this lifetime. Master Ji Yu He doesn't need to compare himself with Mr. Han, even the legendary Emperor Great Alchemist might not be able to compare to such a figure. That's right, that's right. With a ripple of space, Yunshan greeted everyone. Yunshan, you are already at a 9-star Dozong. Hai Bodong, who was only a 3-star Dozong, widened his eyes and asked in disbelief. Seeing Yunshan's every breath, the space around him trembled accordingly. This was definitely the hallmark of a high-level Dozong. MN, after taking that Xinlian pill given to me by Mr. Han, I broke through to the 9-star Dozong. Yunshan was somewhat proud. Having changed to a higher-level cultivation method and Do technique, he was extremely strong now. Hai Bodong, you must step up. In another 10 years, I might be able to try and sprint towards the Dozun realm. Holy crap, you old fellow really. Alright, why did only you come alone? Where are Yun and Nalan Yanren? They went to the Tianmu mountain range. It is said that the blood pool there has the miraculous effect of allowing people to break through bottlenecks. Yuner took Yanren to join in the excitement. Hasn't Yun already broken through to Dozong? Yanren is already a 9-star Do Huang now, and needs to prepare in advance to break through to Dozong. It's only been a few years since we last met, and I didn't expect that little girl to reach that stage. Tisk tisk tisk. Backed by Jinden Tower, with all kinds of precious cultivation resources poured down, Yanren's talent is not bad either, so naturally she can advance by leaps and bounds. Suddenly, a spatial wormhole suddenly appeared, and a long-haired, straight black-haired beauty in black walked out, bringing along a bewitching, mature imperial sister. Thank you, Long Yu. Miss Yafei, you don't have to be polite. This is Long Yu's duty. Afterwards, Yafei sat in the main seat, and Long Yu, an 8th-rank magical beast, sat beside Yafei to protect her closely. In an instant, the entire meeting room quieted down. Long time no see, everyone seems to be doing well, Having eaten a medicinal pill that prolonged life by 100 years, Yafei currently did not look aged in the slightest. Although her cultivation was still not high, no one dared to look down upon her. I have seen all the problems you all reported. Brother Cheng has already prepared for this issue long ago, which is to absorb graduates from Jiangnan Academy. What do you all think? I think it's possible, Mr. Han originated from Jiangnan Academy, and Jinden City has also received quite a bit of care from Jiangnan Academy. MN, compared to those outsiders, the students of Jiangnan Academy are indeed much more reliable. There are quite a few graduates from Jiangnan Academy, not to mention Zhongzhou here, but over in the northwest continent, we might be able to take advantage of the wide sources of Jiangnan Academy students to open a few more branches. These branches don't need to do too much, just acquiring some medicinal herbs and the like will do. Seconded. Quote. Right, and the Snake People tribe. Since the magical beasts over at the Magical Beast Mountain Range have all been cleared out, why don't you guys move over there? Yafei looked at her notebook and looked toward the 8 major chieftains and the Grand Commander of the Snake People tribe. MN, we thought Mr. Han had arrangements. Can we move over? Of course, that was originally a habitat arranged for your snake people tribe. Jindan Tower will not mistreat its own people, and the snake people tribe are also our own people. This is what Brother Cheng said. Yafei looked around at everyone's reactions with a smile and said, there's one more point. Although our Jindan Tower is a neutral faction, if someone dares to bully you knowing full well that you are a person of Jindan Tower, then Jindan Tower will also back you up. Regardless of whether he is a Dozun or a Dosheng, our Jindan Tower never fears anyone. Tianmu Mountain Range. The Tianshan blood pool possessed the miraculous effect of allowing people to break through bottlenecks, causing many people to flock to it. It was just that because the quotas were limited, the competition was extremely fierce. Coupled with the characteristic of the Tianmu Mountain Range suppressing the strength of Dozong experts, the people gathered here were basically Do Huang experts, and all of them were very young Do Huang experts. However, although this place was located within the sphere of influence of the Wind and Thunder Pavilion, the Wind and Thunder Pavilion could not monopolize it alone. After all, the other 3 pavilions of the 4 pavilions were also watching covetously. According to common sense, these Do Huang experts here should respect the younger generation of the 4 pavilions as supreme. But this time, there was a woman whom even the younger generation of the 4 pavilions were extremely polite to, surrounded like stars around the moon. That's right, she is the young sect leader of the Cloud Mist sect. Don't know her. Jindan Tower's high-level direct lineage, Nolan Yanran. Oh, so it is Miss Nolan Yanran. You are my god. Miss Yanran, take a look at me. I am asterisk asterisk asterisk. At this time, in the Starfall Pavilion, Xiao Yan, a 9-star Do Wang, finally welcomed his first heavenly flame. Chapter 101, Reunion. Chapter 101, Reunion. After breaking through to the Demi-Saint stage, Venerable Yao used his old face and more than half of his net worth to trade for the Wind Fury Dragon Flame, ranked 18th on the Strange Fire ranking list. Living up to expectations, Xiao Yan successfully devoured this Wind Fury Dragon Flame. Over a month later, he directly broke through the barrier between the Do Huang and Do Huang stages, reaching a 2-star Do Huang. The Flame Mantra had evolved into a Zon-tier intermediate cultivation method, comparable to a Zon-tier advanced one. At the very least, it was sufficient for the Do Huang realm. Master, thank you. Xiao Yan felt somewhat guilty. Looking at Venerable Yao's gratified smile, he felt that acting this way somewhat let down his master's meticulous cultivation. Silly child. Seeing that Xiao Yan's emotions were a bit off, Venerable Yao decided to let him make a trip home. Over the past few years, Xiao Yan's pressure had been too great, he needed to calm down and clear his mind. Packing his things and preparing to return home, Xiao Yan saw Mu Qingluan returning from the Heaven Mountain blood pool. In Mu Qingluan's eyes, the current Xiao Yan was merely a very formidable alchemist and the disciple of her teacher's good friend. A 24-year-old 6th-rank alchemist was already quite impressive. It was not impossible for him to become an 8th-rank grandmaster in the future, especially with Venerable Yao personally guiding him. Xiao Yan, are you? Ah, senior sister Mu, I'm making a trip home to check on my clansmen. Is that so? Then have a safe journey. Watching Xiao Yan unfold his cyan and yellow doji wings and leave, Mu Qingluan was somewhat surprised. She hadn't expected this junior brother to break through to Do Huang so quickly, as she clearly remembered him being a Do Huang previously. Sigh, junior brother, oh junior brother, the person you like actually comes from such a background, your pressure must be immense. Galloping all the way, Xiao Yan arrived at Holy Pill City. This time he was traveling alone, with no one following him. Well, outwardly it looked like no one was following him, but as for the reality, who knew? At the spatial transmission point in the outer region of Holy Pill City, Xiao Yan suddenly saw an acquaintance. Senior sister Han Yu. Junior brother Xiao Yan, are you also here to work at Jindan Tower? Han Yu, with her long silver hair, wore a smile on her face, it seemed her mood was quite good. No, I'm just passing by here. Xiao Yan shook his head. Looking at this senior sister whom he had met a few times, he asked curiously, what was that about working at Jindan Tower that you mentioned just now? Junior brother Xiao Yan, you probably don't know yet, but the currently mainland renowned Jindan Tower was founded by our senior brother Han Cheng. That is a top-tier major faction capable of rivaling the top factions of the Central Plains. Han Yu's face was filled with excitement, her eyes brimming with adoration, and her expression was radiant as she spoke. However, because Jindan Tower's development has been too rapid, it has led to a shortage of manpower, so senior brother decided to recruit graduates from Jiangnan Academy to work here. Not just the Central Plains, there are even more vacant positions over in the Northwest continent. It is said that several empires around the academy have established branch offices of Jindan Tower, and they are all staffed by graduates like us. Once we enter Jindan Tower, we become internal personnel and can exchange for many precious resources. It is said that the prices for internal personnel of Jindan Tower to exchange resources are lower than the same items on the market by 30%. Junior brother Xiao Yan, are you sure you're not coming? Han Yu asked with a smile. Let's talk after I return. Senior sister, you go ahead first, goodbye. Xiao Yan fell silent for a moment, shook his head, and parted ways with Han Yu. Watching Xiao Yan's retreating figure, Han Yu shook her head. To turn down such a good job opportunity, perhaps this junior brother had some unspeakable difficulties. She didn't take it to heart either, turning around and flying toward the inner region gate of Holy Pill City. Although Han Cheng had good relations with those giants of the Pill Tower, and Jindan Tower hadn't received little special care in Holy Pill City this time, this was not capital for Jindan Tower to break the rules. Therefore, Jindan Tower's recruitment fair was held right beside the inner region city gate. The recruitment process was not complicated. First was recognizing faces to confirm your identity as a graduate of Jiangnan Academy. The facial recognition process wasn't very difficult either. The overwhelming majority of graduates weren't very old. Those who were older had their own matters to attend to and couldn't just lose their heads, abandon everything, and come to Jindan Tower. Most of those who came to Jindan Tower had just graduated within the past few years, like Han Yu who had graduated just over 3 years ago, didn't yet hold much weight in her original faction, and dared to venture out and explore. Furthermore, Jiangnan Academy students basically all kept their school uniforms tucked away, along with graduation certificates and badges of various factions within Jiangnan Academy. All these could be used to verify identity. Afterward, even if an outsider obtained these to impersonate a graduate of Jiangnan Academy, once gathered together with others, they would inevitably slip up. Most importantly, those people all knew each other. Lu Qing, Lu Fei, you two siblings have come too. Han Yu, you've come too. Yeah, I didn't expect you guys to arrive so fast. Not just us, the brothers Bai Cheng and Beishan are here too, as well as Han Xian from the medicinal gang. Right, and those sisters from your faction, Han Yu, they've all come too. That's great. I was still worried that I would be unfamiliar with the place and people, but I didn't expect those guys to arrive so quickly. Quote. When a group of old classmates who hadn't seen each other in years met again, a session of reminiscing was naturally inevitable. With the head count about ready, the group of people entered the inner region of Holy Pill City, which they normally couldn't enter, with excited hearts. Normally, one needed at least a 7th rank alchemist or a Dozun expert to enter, but who made this Jinden Tower? That lord was the #1 alchemist on the continent. After all, those connected to that lord naturally possessed the qualification standard. Arriving inside Jinden Tower, Long Yu walked out from the spatial wormhole. After all, it was the first meeting, so they had to display some of Jinden Tower's strength. You are all graduates of Jiannan Academy, basically the Misters junior brothers and junior sisters, senior brothers and senior sisters, or even classmates. Mr. believes in everyone's abilities. Jinden Tower complies with Misters will to absorb you all as members of Jinden Tower. We ask that everyone strictly abide by Jinden Tower's rules and not make things difficult for yourselves. Of course, if you feel it is unsuitable, you may also choose to leave, but after leaving, Jinden Tower will not give you another opportunity. Now, please stand apart according to your cultivation levels. We will arrange different jobs for you based on your cultivation levels. I hope everyone can understand. After all, the strong are respected on the Fighting Chi continent. If there are any Dozong experts among you, then on ordinary days you only need to drink tea and rest inside Jinden Tower, and you will still receive a salary. If anyone has any questions, you may ask me. If not, then look at the positions corresponding to your cultivation levels. As she spoke, Long Yu took out a stack of records, all of which were positions where Jinden Tower currently lacked manpower. Most Do Huang experts were responsible for guarding the order of the auction house and various matters on the 6th floor. Great Do masters did quite a bit more, but they were all miscellaneous tasks. After looking at it, the crowd had no questions. This kind of arrangement already made them very satisfied. Within this Jinden Tower, they already felt a sense of relaxation second only to Jiannan Academy, something they didn't even have within their original factions. Chapter 102, Returning Home in Glory. Chapter 102, Returning Home in Glory. Suddenly, a purple figure skipped in, and Long Yu quickly dropped these people and hurried to the door. Miss Ziyan, why didn't you notify me when you came? Long Yu, where are Big Brother and the others? Ziyan grabbed Long Yu's hand with a giggle, having not seen each other in over 3 years. Sir and Madam are currently in secluded cultivation. Long Yu called Yun Yun over to handle the matters here. She brought Ziyan to the Han residence and told her the truth. What, Big Brother and the others went out to play, and they didn't take me? Ziyan felt like she was so miserable, all blaming herself for sleeping too long during this breakthrough. Moreover, there were many extra things in her bloodline inheritance, and then she was taught by that old man for a long time, otherwise she definitely would have caught up. Suddenly, a blue and cyan figure appeared, and Ziyan jumped up with joy, having Long Yu take her away from Holy Pill City. Meanwhile, Han Chang and the Queen, who were at the southernmost tip of the Fighting Chi continent, looked at the scene before them, their eyes lingering for a long time, unable to extricate themselves for a while. This was a very magnificent waterfall with a drop of more than 300 meters, causing the flowing water to generate rich water vapor during its long descent, where even the beautiful rainbows paused. The lush green grass on both banks was dotted with colorful flowers, low-level magical beasts like bees and butterflies flew about here, and water attribute magical beast at the bottom of the water swam freely. Whoosh. The sound of the waterfall hitting the water surface was deafening, the clouds in the sky were shattered, and directly above the two of them was a patch of azure blue. The two did not step on the void nor did they transform Fighting Chi into wings, but instead rode a small wooden boat, falling down the current from the top of the waterfall. A drop of more than 300 meters, this would be a very wonderful descent process. Of course, it was also very thrilling, provided that you were not a truly strong expert. These two Dozun experts naturally were not weak, they could flow down with the current, experiencing a 300-meter free fall and crashing into the water surface. With just a thought, they could even do it all over again, changing into different tricks. Having played to their heart's content, they lay on the grass with their eyes locked, looking at each other. As the sun set and the moon rose, the waterfall under the moonlight presented another unique scenery. Their two hearts drew closer and closer, until there was completely no distance left between them. Did you notice the sky? It's very beautiful. Yet in my eyes, it's still not as beautiful as you. Tilda. The two of them lay on the grass like this, experiencing who knows how many days and nights. Until a wisp of soul power was triggered, Han Cheng finally stirred. The queen sat up along with him, smiling as she looked at him without speaking, but he knew what she meant. Kai Lin, our trip this time has to come to an end. Alright, expected. To be honest, being able to play for a full 3 years, I am already very happy. Chang, have I made you feel happy? Every day, every moment. Han Cheng smiled and pulled Kai Lin's delicate hand, waving his palm to write a few large characters on the huge boulder on the side of the waterfall. Kai Lin tightly embraced Han Cheng, smiling happily as she buried her face into Han Cheng's embrace. Han Cheng closed his eyes and communicated with the moonlight. An extreme silver moonlight flared up, and the two vanished from the spot. Long after, 4 large characters appeared on the boulder, while a spatial fluctuation hid this patch of space. Aisha Waterfall. ... The extreme silver cross-shaped light flashed across the sky above the magical beast forest outside Jiannan Academy, alarming many strong experts of Jiannan Academy. For a time, dozens of figures rapidly approached. In less than a few breaths of time, First Elder Su Jian of the 9-star Dozun arrived first. Only after seeing clearly did the First Elder rub his eyes in disbelief, looking at that familiar figure and involuntarily revealing a smile. First Elder, long time no see. Han Cheng waved goodbye to the Queen, took a step forward, and arrived before the First Elder. After walking closer, the First Elder saw that Han Cheng's complexion was a bit pale, and couldn't help becoming somewhat nervous. Are you injured? Is it serious? I'm not injured, just that moving too far at once caused a bit too much consumption. As he spoke, Han Cheng took a few hurried breaths, and his complexion recovered quite a bit. The First Elder was somewhat surprised and emotional. You are already a Dozun now, just how far away must it be to cause you such huge consumption? Hee, probably hundreds of millions of kilometers. Han Cheng smiled. Seeing Fire Elder arrive, he hurriedly went to greet him. Teacher, your disciple has returned. Are you doing well? Good. Fire Elder looked at Han Cheng, who had grown up, and the smile on his face could not stop emerging. Who would have thought that he, a 6th rank alchemist, could actually teach the now continent famous #1 alchemist? You've grown up, and you've become much more handsome. Where's your wife? Didn't she come back with you? She's back. She went to check on the Snake People tribe first. After all, she hasn't returned for several years, and as the queen of the Snake People tribe, it wouldn't be good otherwise. Han Cheng smiled and explained, continuing, Teacher, you can rest assured. After the All-Continent Alchemist Convention 3 years from now concludes, I plan to get married. Teacher, you must not be absent then. Hee, good, this old man will definitely go then. Fire Elder was very happy that his disciple had climbed so high yet still remembered him. Seeing Han Cheng's figure, the group of elders also breathed a sigh of relief, followed by a burst of laughter. Returning to the inner academy, the first elder brought up the matter of Jindan Tower recruiting graduates from Jianan Academy, and said with a smile, Han Cheng, you didn't even give this old man a heads up in advance. Now Jianan Academy's enrollment task has become a lot heavier. The new students enrolled this year are a full 80% more than in the past. Next term, I estimate it will probably multiply several times over. Hee, first elder, you are still robust in your old age. Jianan Academy will only get livelier in the future, so you can just treat it as preparing in advance. Han Cheng spread his hands. Anyway, he wasn't an academy elder. The first elder pointed a finger at this brat Han Cheng. He truly was a disciple satisfying to the utmost limit. Who could have thought that Han Cheng hadn't even officially mentioned Jianan Academy yet already possessed such a huge influence? Fortunately, the busiest ones right now are actually Vice Dean Hu Jian and the others from the outer academy. The first elder was quite relieved. In fact, no matter how many people there were, it was all the same to the inner academy, as only 50 people could pass the inner academy selection tournament each year. After a long talk through the night, Han Cheng arrived within the magma world. This time, he was going to feed all those flame lizardmen to the green lotus core flame. Han Cheng swept through all the way, and the green lotus core flame grew and developed at a rapid speed. With his current cultivation, lizardmen of the Dozun realm were no match either, and could only turn into nutrients for the green lotus core flame. Finally, 2 milk-white lizardmen appeared before Han Cheng. Judging from their auras, they had shockingly reached the demi-saint realm. Human, this is the graveyard of gods. It is not a place you can come to. Withdraw quickly, otherwise if you awaken the guardian, you shall be forever buried here. The different colored cyan and blue pupils lit up. After a few breaths, everything calmed down. Only a cyan lotus slowly bloomed. At the center of the cyan lotus petals, a tiny figure appeared in Han Cheng's line of sight. Chapter 103 Xiaoqing. Ah, F.A., father, my lord. A cyan figure, about half of Han Cheng's arm in height, stumbled to its feet from within the cyan lotus. The little fellow had a ring of cyan lotus patterns around its wrists, ankles, and waist. It had a large head out of proportion to its body and a pair of big eyes, looking just like an elf that walked out of a two-dimensional world. The little fellow possessed extremely high intelligence. Its ability to grow to this point today relied entirely on Han Cheng, so calling him father wasn't wrong either. The energy of the surrounding magma world was drawn into the little fellow's body as it floated before Han Cheng. Han Cheng looked at the little fellow in front of him, a knowing smile blooming on his face. He reached out and stroked the little fellow's face. It was chubby and very elastic. Starting from today, your name shall be Xiaoqing, and you are my child. Yes, father, Xiaoqing will remember. The little fellow's earnest look made one involuntarily want to laugh. Han Cheng and Xiaoqing shared a telepathic connection. With a single thought, he had it sit upon his shoulder. With a single step out, Han Cheng left the magma world. Returning to the academy, Han Cheng silently arrived at the arena. Looking at the younger students fighting below, his expression fell into a brief trance. In the blink of an eye, he was already 23 years old. The Great Elder and Fire Elder both had their own matters to attend to, so Han Cheng decided not to add to the chaos. Besides, he would be staying around the northwest continent for the next period of time anyway. Arriving at Jindan City, Han Cheng could not help but feel a bit surprised upon seeing the bustling scene before him. He hadn't expected that Jindan City could develop to such a degree within just a few short years. Coming to the top of Jindan Tower, it was truly bustling with traffic, endless streams of people, and orderly arrangements. In front of Jindan Tower, the spatial wormhole would light up with a silver glow every once in a while, and quite a few people came from the central plains. No one caused trouble in the city, and not a single person resorted to violence. Clearly, this place was still the Black Corner region, yet it possessed such a stable and prosperous city, virtually becoming two extremes. It was said that quite a few young people from the central plains specifically came to the Black Corner region for tempering. After watching for a while, Han Cheng entered Jindan Tower. The 7th floor. Not long ago, Grandmaster Ji Yuhi, who had returned from the central plains, successfully certified as a low-level 7th rank alchemist, causing the long-sealed 7th floor to open once again. At night, after instructing his disciple who was already a 5th rank alchemist, Ji Yuhi came to the 7th floor to summarize his experiences of success and failure. Because, according to the previous agreement between Mr. Han and him, he had refined a 7th grade pill and become a 7th rank alchemist. At the next all-continent alchemist convention, Mr. Han would take him along. Oh, so the purification of the water spirit essence is like this. No wonder I always felt something was lacking. Upon learning that Sect Master Yun Yun had not the slightest romantic interest in him, Ji Yuhi threw himself entirely into alchemy, progressing at a rapid pace. How bad could the talent of someone who could independently grope his way to a 6th rank alchemist be? Now that he had experiences to study from, naturally his progress was extremely swift. I do not know when, but a figure suddenly appeared on the 7th floor. However, Ji Yuhi, whose mind was immersed in his own world, did not notice it at all. Glancing at the problem Ji Yuhi was agonizing over and listening to his soft self-talk, Han Cheng quickly figured out the difficulty Ji Yuhi had encountered. When purifying the black gold stamen, you can crush it directly, this will not affect its medicinal properties. Is that so? No wonder I always. Ji Yuhi abruptly raised his head, seeing that young face. Mr. Han, you have returned. Hee, elder brother Ji Yuhi doesn't need to be so polite. It's so late, yet elder brother Ji Yuhi is still meticulously studying alchemy. Such an eager-to-learn spirit truly makes Han Cheng feel inferior. Ji Yuhi's aptitude is dull, it is merely diligence making up for clumsiness. Elder brother Ji Yuhi, I feel this is your most precious trait. Knowing your own shortcomings and still being willing to constantly learn and supplement yourself. Unlike certain short-sighted individuals who become complacent after achieving just a tiny bit of success, having their drive corrupted by luxurious living. Elder brother Ji Yuhi, please help me pass along a message. 2 months from now, I will make a move here again and refine 28th grade pills. At that time, elder brother Ji Yuhi, you can watch from the side. How much you can learn will depend entirely on yourself. Ji Yuhi excitedly nodded repeatedly. All right, I will go right now. Many thanks, Mr. Han. Being allowed to watch by the side while an alchemist refined pills was definitely a high level of trust toward that person. Hee, elder brother Ji Yuhi should rest up and keep your spirits high for the coming period. Finished speaking, Han Cheng left the 7th floor. Ji Yuhi recovered from his excited mood, but the look of pleasant surprise on his face still could not be completely concealed. Someone come, quickly pass a message. Mr. Han is going to open the cauldron to refine pills in 2 months, 28th grade pills. This news spread across the northwest continent as if it had grown wings. In an instant, who knows how many super experts began packing their belongings, preparing to rush to Jinden City in advance in order to secure a favorable position and snatch up that quota. With just a single sentence from Han Chang, the entire northwest continent was set into motion. However, he himself did not pay too much attention to the aftermath. He was currently on his way to find Kailin. Snake People Tribe. Returning to the Tago Desert for the first time, Kailin saw the Snake People Tribe devoid of many people and thought something had happened. But after sensing around, she discovered that these snake people did not have any sorrowful emotions, and smiles frequently surfaced on their faces. Once their numbers reached a certain amount, the soldiers of the Snake People Tribe led the Snake People out of the Snake People Holy City. Finding it somewhat strange, she followed the scattered groups of snake people all the way to the Magical Beast Mountain Range. This area of the Magical Beast Mountain Range, which was originally dominated by magical beasts, had already been cleaned out completely. Within a radius of 100 kilometers, no magical beasts set foot. This place had already become the territory of the Snake People Tribe. Rows upon rows of houses were neatly constructed. This fertile land, soaked in the blood of countless magical beasts, was turned over by the snake people using farming tools, and under human instruction, they began cultivation. Yume, one of the 8 chieftains, was flying in the sky providing aerial guidance, waving her palm from time to time to shatter some obstructive boulders. The Snake People Tribe has been having a pretty good time lately. It seems this queen, am somewhat unqualified, hee. Ah, the queen. Greetings, Her Majesty Queen Medusa. Countless snake people prostrated themselves on the ground, carrying out a devout kowtow to Queen Medusa. Seeing this scene, Kailin smiled gently and waved her hand, lifting them all up. All right, go on and do your work. Finished speaking, she waved her jade hand, and with a ripple of spatial fluctuations, brought Yume aside. Yume, you are also a Dohuang now. Truly not bad. Chapter 104, Kailin's Wisdom. Chapter 104, Kailin's Wisdom. Your Majesty, this is all illuminated by your magnificent radiance. All right, stop with the flattery, and tell this king about all the major and minor matters of the Snake People Tribe during the years I was away. With a wave of her hand, the domineering aura belonging solely to the queen was revealed, and every gesture of hers displayed a unique charm. Yes, Queen, Yume bowed respectfully, and then began to recount the development of the Snake People Tribe over the past few years. Ever since Jinden City was established, our Snake People Tribe has had a stable source of resources, and our development momentum has been very good. With the relationship with Mr. Han, the development of Jinden City can be said to be progressing by leaps and bounds and going entirely smoothly. Although there were some small difficulties during this period, they quickly disappeared. Moreover, with the relationship between you, Your Majesty, and Mr. Han, our Snake People Tribe has secured the majority of the grassroots benefits in Jinden City, and the lives of our clansmen have become much better. However, Your Majesty, if I may speak fairly, those male snake people of ours are truly unsuited for work outside of being guards. Take leader Mobasi for example. Just because of selling winter melons, he got into arguments with those customers 3 times within a month, and the others are the same. This has all caused quite a bit of impact. If not for your relationship, the Snake People Tribe would have long had its share of benefits reduced or been kicked out directly. Kailin's expression remained unchanged as she nodded and said, what you said does make some sense. Previously, our Snake People Tribe needed to constantly be on guard against thieves who coveted our clansmen, so we needed force to protect them. But now, with Changsville and Jinden City, this basin of gathering wealth, we no longer need to be militaristic like before. Quote ellipsis quote. Hearing the queen use concise language to clearly arrange the development of the Snake People Tribe for the next few centuries, Yume couldn't help but open her mouth wide in surprise, her face full of disbelief. Was this still their queen? She only knew that the queen was good at fighting, but since when had her governance abilities become so outstanding? Quote. Finally, establish a school in this king's name. Every year, select a batch of children with various talents for specialized training. Figure out the specific matters yourselves, and use whatever is under this king's name if you need money. Do you remember? Oh, I remember, Your Majesty. Yume held a small notebook, listening and writing at the same time, her gaze towards the queen filled with adoration. As expected of the queen, although she had not been with the Snake People Tribe for several years, she had already customized so many excellent development strategies for them. Your Majesty, your wisdom is simply as endless as the stars in the sky. All right, continue talking about what happened later. Hearing Yume praise her, Kailin felt her ears warm up and quickly interrupted. Although they were husband and wife of one heart and Han Chang's things were hers, this was the first time she had done such a thing of plagiarizing, stealing wisdom, and she found it rather embarrassing. Yes, Your Majesty. Seeing the queen being so serious, Yume quickly continued to recount the subsequent developments. After that, there was nothing much left to say, just steady development day after day. What shocked me the most was that Jinden City issuing a mission to clear out the magical beasts in this area of the Magical Beast Mountain Range was precisely for our Snake People Tribe. Chang is just like the sun, warming everyone. A brilliant smile appeared on Kailin's pretty face. She truly was lucky. Yume saw the queen's appearance and was also very happy in her heart. It seemed the queen had truly found the right person and hadn't wronged herself. The two of them stopped and went along the way, with the queen responsible for speaking and Yume responsible for recording, all of which were plans regarding the future development direction of the Snake People Tribe. Right, do you still dance in Jinden Tower? Having finished speaking, the queen began to reminisce with Yume. Alas, I don't dance anymore. That's fine too. After all, you are also a leader of the Snake People Tribe. Actually, it's because I need to prepare for breaking through to the Dozong realm. Furthermore, a 7th grade pill useful to a Dozong cannot be exchanged for even after dancing for 10 years. Besides, a Dozong just needs to hold down the fort in Jinden City to get a salary, so I stopped dancing. Alright, as long as this is your own decision. Your Majesty, rest assured, with our son-in-law here, who would dare look down on our Snake People Tribe? Inside Jinden Tower I am a dancer, but once I step out of Jinden Tower, I am the leader of the Snake People Tribe. Quote ellipsis quote. It's just that those few elders always like to use this matter to talk about me. I think they are just jealous that I'm young. A long time later, the queen smiled as she overlooked her subjects from high in the sky. A spatial wormhole appeared, and a familiar figure arrived by the queen's side, causing her body to subconsciously lean back. A solid chest became her support, and powerful arms wrapped around her waist. I missed you. It hasn't even been 2 days, what are you going to do in the future? Then I will tie you to my body, little snake demon. Suddenly, a cyan figure appeared beside the two of them. Father, should I call this person mother? Kailin looked over in surprise. After seeing the appearance of this little person, she breathed a sigh of relief in her heart and then looked at Han Chang. This is the fire spirit of the Green Lotus Core Flame, Xiao Qing. Han Cheng briefly explained the reason why Xiao Qing called him father, and then said to Xiao Qing, "This is Kai Lin, you can indeed call her mother." With a somewhat peculiar expression on her face, Kai Lin got acquainted with Xiao Qing. She hadn't expected that before she even had that kind of relationship with Han Cheng, she already had a child. 5 days later, on the westernmost coastline of the continent, Han Cheng brought Kai Lin here to select a suitable island to serve as the foundation for opening up space when they break through to the Dosheng realm in the future. Barren islands were directly tossed aside by them, and those colorful ones were all chosen, showing that both of them cared about appearances. After bustling about for more than 10 days and finishing their selections, the two of them returned to Jindan City to wait for Ziyan's arrival. Ellipsis. Xiao Yan spent a month without sleeping or resting, returning to the northwest continent through a spatial wormhole. Because he was too tired, he chose to stay at an inn inside Jindan City. There were a lot of people coming and going in Jindan City, and shops like inns and restaurants were making a killing. Because most of the people coming and going in Jindan Tower were not short of money, a casual transaction would see a turnover of 1,000,000 or 800,000 gold coins. After sleeping for 3 days and 3 nights, when Xiao Yan woke up, he found that his alarm device hadn't been triggered, giving him a deeper understanding of the security inside Jindan Tower. It was a utopia in a place of extreme evil like the Black Corner region. After relieving his fatigue, Xiao Yan strolled around Jindan City with great interest, discovering that this place was already no worse than some cities in the Central Plains. If compared by prosperity, this Jindan City could even surpass them. Xiao Yan flapped his doji wings, leaving a cyan yellow streak of light in the sky. Returning to Wudin City, Xiao Yan's steps were somewhat eager, and for a moment he felt a sense of apprehension and loss. Moving his steps, just as he arrived in front of the front gate of the Xiao family, Xiao Yan discovered that the Xiao family now seemed to be developing quite well, much better than before he left. Chapter 105, Xiao Yan's Transformation Part 1. Chapter 105, Xiao Yan's Transformation Part 1. Young Master Xiao Yan. It's me, where are the first elder and the others? Xiao Yan smiled, nodded, and asked amiably. Young Master Xiao Yan is back. Young Master Xiao Yan, follow me, the 3 elders are over there. First elder, second elder, third elder, young Master Xiao Yan is back. The Xiao family was instantly in a bustle, with both old and young coming out to welcome their most outstanding young Master Xiao Yan. The 3 elders who once looked down on him the most already had graying temples. Now, the gaze they directed at Xiao Yan was filled with guilt and the gentleness of elders towards a junior, making him somewhat unable to look them straight in the eye. The younger generation of children in the Xiao family had already been born. The oldest was already over 4 years old, and there were also quite a few babies babbling softly. Walking into the meeting hall, Xiao Yan sat in the patriarch's seat, the 3 elders had pushed him up there. Young clan leader, our Xiao family's development over these past few years has been very smooth. Thanks to Jindan City, the Xiao family can now earn a profit of over 500,000 gold coins every year, among which Yun. First elder, don't mind me, I was just young and impulsive back then. Thinking about it now, the Cloud Mist sect actually has some magnanimity to still be able to take care of the Xiao family like this. Xiao Yan shook his head. In the blink of an eye, 7 or 8 years had passed, almost 10 years. The youthful arrogance of the past seemed somewhat laughable when recalled now. With the protection of the Cloud Mist sect, the Xiao family's current development could be said to be smooth sailing. Although for a 6th-rank alchemist like Xiao Yan, a net profit of 500,000 gold coins a year was completely not worth mentioning, for a small family like the Xiao family, it was already very good. Right, young clan leader, this is soul-nourishing saliva. Didn't you ask us to collect medicinal materials to restore soul power before you left? We couldn't find the materials, so we could only ask Master Ji Yuhi to refine a portion of soul-nourishing saliva. Quote. Thank you, elder. It's very useful. The smile on Xiao Yan's face was somewhat emotional, and a hint of tears flashed in his eyes. He knew very well how high the value of a portion of soul-nourishing saliva was. I'm afraid the Xiao family paid a heavy price for this. The next day, Xiao Yan adjusted his emotions and began refining some medicinal pills that the people of the Xiao family could currently use. Before having the Wind Fury Dragon Flame, Xiao Yan was already able to refine the Wangji pill. Now with the Wind Fury Dragon Flame, his alchemy skills had improved even more significantly. Refining the Wangji pill would not take much effort, and he could even try refining the Break Sect pill. However, the current Xiao family didn't need such medicinal pills yet. Staying at home for a few more days, Xiao Yan recalled those times from his youth. Xiao Yan prepared to go out, to wander around and take a look in this Jama Empire. When bidding farewell to several elders, they looked at Xiao Yan's back and said, Young clan leader, you must bring the patriarch back. A family reunion of ours is better than anything else. That's right, us old fellows no longer have the energy to argue with the patriarch. Matters within the family are still more suitable for the patriarch to manage. Quote. Rest assured, I will definitely bring father back, definitely. Xiao Yan took a large stride and jumped up, his doji transforming into wings as he flew into the sky, flying out of Wudin City in the blink of an eye. Flying along the path he and his teacher had set out from Wudin City, a journey that once took over a month could now be flown through by him in just a few dozen minutes. The Magical Beast Mountain Range, the Tagore Desert, Shimo City, and Mo City, his eldest and second brother's mercenary group was also developing very well now. Xiao Yan got heavily drunk with his 2 older brothers, left behind some medicinal pills for cultivation, and continued on his way. The Mo family, long ago, the name of the Mo family no longer existed. After Xiao Yan sighed at how things had changed while the people remained the same, he flew towards the imperial capital of the Jama Empire. Only, the imperial capital that he once regarded as a big city looked just so now. With a broadened horizon, naturally he wouldn't make a fuss over it. It was slightly inferior to when Xiao Yan participated in the alchemist convention, but the imperial capital was still quite prosperous, just like 7 years ago, with no changes. Xiao Yan knew some of the reasons. That guardian of the imperial family had broken his agreement with Senior Han Cheng, and when those people from the Hall of Souls made a move against the Cloud Mist sect, he cowered inside and refused to come out. Afterwards, Senior Han Cheng did not pursue the matter with him, but later all cooperation involving Jindan City and so on left the royal family behind. Xiao Yan's arrival was naturally discovered by Jia Xingtian, and he was invited to drink a cup of tea. Xiao Yan had no intention of agreeing to Jia Xingtian's request at all. That was Jindan Tower, which surpassed the 2 sects, 3 valleys, and 4 pavilions. He simply didn't have that much face. Has Mr. Han already reached that height? No wonder he didn't hold this old man accountable, no wonder. After learning the current scale of Jindan Tower, Jia Xingtian seemed to have aged decades in an instant, his body that he had tried his best to straighten instantly hunching over. Looking at the twilight appearance of the old man Jia Xingtian, Xiao Yan sighed and gave a reminder before leaving. If the royal family has no successors, old Jia should lay down this throne as soon as possible and plan a way out for future generations. I have said all that needs to be said. Xiao Yan takes his leave. What Jia Xingtian did afterwards was something Xiao Yan didn't want to know. He had now arrived at the Cloud Mist sect. Coincidentally, Nalan Yanran, who had just broken through to the Dozong, sensed his aura. Meeting again as former rivals, both of their hearts were filled with emotion. Long time no see. Long time no see. Goodbye. Goodbye. After a brief conversation, Xiao Yan flew toward the Azumo Empire. In the blink of an eye, many years had passed, and he didn't know if his old friends from back then were doing well. Azumo Empire. A few years ago, the Azumo Empire's most powerful myriad Scorpion Gate was wiped out by an unknown powerhouse, plunging it into a chaotic situation where numerous heroes vied for supremacy for a time. However, just 2 years ago, the Poison Sect leader suddenly rose like a comet, sweeping across the entire Azumo Empire with an invincible momentum, and the Poison Sect logically became the overlord of the Azumo Empire. On this day, a young man claiming to be a 6th-rank alchemist came to the Poison Sect, saying he wanted to ask the Poison Sect leader to help find someone. Moreover, that young man also possessed a heavenly flame. For a time, the entire Poison Sect ceremoniously welcomed the arrival of this 6th-rank alchemist. The Poison Sect leader, who was just preparing to set off for the Black Corner region, stopped in her tracks upon learning that this person possessed a heavenly flame, and decided to meet him in person. The person I am looking for is named Xiao Yixian. She is my good friend. If you all can find her, please let me know. Xiao Yan will definitely not let you all suffer loss. You should all step down. I will have a good talk with this Mr. Xiao Yan. The Poison Sect leader suddenly changed her mind and drove everyone else out. Although the others found it strange, the Poison Sect leader had a character of her word being final. No one dared to use their lives to defy her. Xiao Yan, what if I said the person you were looking for is already dead? Impossible. Even if she is dead, I still want to go and see her burial place. Xiao Yan's tone was emotional, not believing this was true. Immediately, he turned his head to look at this Poison Sect leader, anger surfacing in his eyes. Did you kill Xiao Yixian? Quote. In a sense, it is indeed I, the Poison Sect leader, who killed Xiao Yixian. Chapter 106, Xiao Yan's transformation middle. Chapter 106, Xiao Yan's transformation middle. Why, Xiao Yan gritted his teeth in anger. If it were the younger Xiao Yan, he would have already struck out in fury, but now he had grown up, becoming mature and steady. No reason. The Poison Sect leader's tone was calm, devoid of sorrow or joy. Then go die, Kaishin Seal. The terrifying energy fluctuation tore the void apart, and the veil on the Poison Sect leader's face was blown away, revealing her true appearance. Xiao Yan hurriedly tried his best to change the direction of the Kaishin Seal. After a burst of chaos, the two of them sat facing each other once more. The Poison Sect leader, no, it should be Xiao Yixian, was telling Xiao Yan about her experiences over the years. Half a month later, that Mr. Han of Jinden Tower will appear. Legend has it that Mr. Han possesses a heavenly flame. I want to go and try. If even he has no way, I can only wait for death. Xiao Yan, you shouldn't have come to find me. Xiao Yixian's expression was complex. She hoped even more that in Xiao Yan's impression, she was still that innocent Xiao Yixian who cured the sick and saved lives, rather than her current ugly appearance with hands full of blood. Xiao Yan shook his head and said with a smile, no, I'm somewhat glad that I found you now, otherwise you would have missed the chance to survive. This is the control method for the calamity poison body told to me by my teacher. It requires 3 heavenly flames, the monster core of a tier 7 heavenly scorpion poison dragon beast, and Bodhi transformation saliva. I have the wind fury dragon flame, and my teacher has a bone chilling flame. We can go find Senior Han Cheng for the missing one. The tier 7 heavenly scorpion poison dragon beast monster core has already been prepared by me in advance. Now all that's missing is the Bodhi transformation saliva. Let's go take a look at Jinden City first. If it's not there, we'll go to Zhongzhou to find my teacher for help. I believe that as long as we don't give up, we will definitely find the Bodhi transformation saliva. Xiao Yixian suddenly flipped her palm, and an off-white flame appeared in the center of her palm. A smile carried on her pretty face. I still have another world poison flame here. It seems even heavens won't let me die. What are we waiting for? Let's go, we're setting off for Jinden City right now. Xiao Yan grabbed Xiao Yixian's wrist, preparing to take her away. Xiao Yixian did not resist either. In the blink of an eye, the two of them left the Poison Sect, and very quickly left the Azumo Empire. At this moment, the people of the Poison Sect did not yet know that their sect leader had already been seduced away by someone. Jinden City. Dust laden from their journey, the two arrived at Jinden City and headed straight for Jinden Tower located at the very center of Jinden City. Nalan Yanran, Xiao Yan was somewhat surprised, not expecting to see her again. I have something to see Senior Han Cheng for. Can you help me relay a message? Sorry Xiao Yan, right now Mr. Han is not down at Jinden Tower. Nalan Yanran shook her head, glanced at this fellow bringing along a strange woman, and her eyelids twitched slightly. However, you are a graduate of Jiannan Academy, so you can go take a look at Jiannan Academy. Perhaps Mr. Han is there. Jiannan Academy, huh, thanks a lot. Xiao Yan turned around, galloping all the way, and flew to Jiannan Academy. Seeing Xiao Yan so anxious for her sake, Xiao Yixian also felt a somewhat unique stirring in her heart. At this moment, within Jiannan Academy, Han Cheng and a few others were helping the academy add spatial barriers, especially the spatial barrier on the side of the medicinal herb warehouse. Alright, Ziyan, come try and see if you can still trigger the alarm now. Han Cheng and Kailin perfected this layer of spatial barrier and also added an alarm device layer. Even if someone could pass through the spatial barrier, they couldn't bypass the alarm device. Han Cheng's methods were special and not representative. In terms of the meticulous manipulation of spatial power, Kailin could not compare to Ziyan, that little fellow whose racial talent was maxed out. Alright, everyone make way, watch me. Ziyan akimboed her hands, her large eyes turning serious. This was her signature skill, and she had a lot of confidence in herself. Seeing her delicate little hands wave, layers of spatial power surged forth. This spatial power, which was normally extremely difficult to control, unexpectedly became very docile in front of Ziyan. A few minutes later, the spatial barrier jointly set up by two beings comparable to Dozun's was completely cracked by Ziyan. Only the piercing alarm sounding from within the warehouse already represented that the upgrade of the security system was successful. The first elder nodded in satisfaction. Being able to issue an alarm at the very first moment after the barrier was cracked was a huge success. At least a Dozong powerhouse couldn't quietly steal the academy's things anymore. As for a Doshang, if such an existence liked to steal, let them steal. Not discovering it was still a good thing for Jiannan Academy. Just as Han Cheng and Kailin were preparing to restore this layer of spatial barrier, Ziyan had already grabbed that white jade fruit. Ahem right pointing arrow _ right pointing arrow, it was out of habit. Ziyan smiled embarrassedly and put the white jade fruit back. The first elder's face twitched, but he still said, you can keep it. Consider it your hard-earned fee for this time. Really, then I won't stand on ceremony. Ziyan picked up the white jade fruit, and as she spoke, she was about to turn around and extend her vicious claws toward other medicinal herbs, but the next second she was grabbed by the back of her neck by Han Cheng and carried out of the medicinal herb warehouse. After Ziyan was put down, she hugged Kylan Sai to complain. Geez, big brother still treats me like a child. I just casually reached out my hand. I definitely didn't have any intention of actually taking those things. I believe you, Kylan said with a gentle smile on her face, looking into Ziyan's big eyes. Her slender, delicate hand held Ziyan's little hand, walking unhurriedly behind Han Cheng. Listening to Ziyan's nonsense, Han Cheng and the first elder chuckled. This girl really knew how to talk. If not for knowing her personality, they might have actually believed it. Suddenly, Han Cheng perceived two not-so-strong auras approaching the inner academy. It looked like the other party seemed to have been people of the inner academy before, very familiar with the locations within the inner academy. Sir, it is Venerable Yao's disciple Xiaoyan and a female Dozong. As a servant, Long Yu naturally had to keep her eyes on all sides and ears open to all directions, reporting what she saw to Han Cheng and deciding whether to intercept according to Han Cheng's will. Han Cheng had a few guesses in his heart, but still calmly let Long Yu let them pass over. First elder, Junior Xiaoyan is back. Aren't you going to take a look? Oh, what day is it today that so many graduates have all come back? Then I truly must go take a look. The first elder was somewhat surprised. Could it be that the students who went out from the academy were also nostalgic? How long has it been, yet so many people could come back to take a look? Only after learning of Xiaoyan's purpose, the first elder somewhat lost-heartedly gave up the space to Han Cheng and the others, finding an excuse to turn around and leave. I have Bodhi transformation saliva, but Junior Xiaoyan, what are you going to trade for it? Han Cheng looked seriously at Xiaoyan. Strictly speaking, this thing should actually belong to Ziyan. However, an elder brother is like a father, so it didn't matter if he held onto it. But he definitely couldn't give this Bodhi transformation saliva to Xiaoyan for free. Although he wasn't lacking anything right now, at the very least, the two of Xiaoyan needed to produce some sincerity. Chapter 107, Xiaoyan's Transformation Part 2. Senior, do you really have the Bodhi transformation saliva? Xiaoyan did not consider the cost. He wanted to take a look first. Xiao Yixian felt the same way. She thought it was truly a coincidence. Any of the three items that could save her life were extremely rare, and paradoxically, the easiest one to obtain was the Tier 7 Heavenly Scorpion Poison Dragon Beast core. As for the other two, whether it was the three heavenly flames or the Bodhi transformation saliva, without sufficient luck, even a Dozun or Dosheng might not be able to gather them all within a few years. Han Cheng smiled slightly, and with a flip of his palm, a cluster of green light appeared. That rich aura of life instantly made Xiaoyan and Xiao Yixian confirm that it was real. Senior, I wonder what Xiaoyan has on him that catches your eye. Just name it. Xiaoyan's sincere appearance caused Xiao Yixian, standing beside him, to tighten her grip. Han Cheng thought for a moment and said, Junior Xiaoyan is truly flying into a rage for a beauty. It's just that I can't think of anything I currently need that Junior Xiaoyan can produce. Today's Han Cheng was no longer the grade 8 alchemist without medicinal recipes. Now, he was the master of Jindan Tower, an existence capable of representing a super faction single-handedly. Whether it was medicinal recipes, ingredients, cultivation methods, or dough techniques, he lacked none of them. If he truly lacked anything, it would be a Tier 9 monster core, but those were super experts comparable to Dosheng. Xiaoyan simply could not produce such a thing. Tap, tap, tap. Han Cheng's slender fingertips tapped against the chair, and suddenly, the rhythmic tapping stopped. Forget it, I won't dwell on it. I'll let you use it first, and as for the rest, we can talk when I think of something. Xiaoyan thanks Senior. Many thanks, Mr. Han. Xiaoyan and Xiao Yixian were instantly overjoyed, hastily thanking Han Cheng for his righteousness and trust. After all, this kind of arrangement on credit wasn't something just anyone could receive. Alright, saving lives is paramount, especially regarding the legendary Calamity Poison Body. I am also quite curious what kind of power the Calamity Poison Body can erupt with once it is controlled. Han Cheng smiled and asked Xiaoyan what should be done next. Next we need to find a place of utmost yang. A place of utmost yang. The magma deep underground should count as a place of utmost yang, right? It counts, absolutely. Xiaoyan nodded and said, if even a place like that didn't count as a place of utmost yang, it would truly be fatal. Then follow me. As he spoke, Han Cheng opened a spatial passage and stepped into it first. Xiaoyan smiled, grabbed Xiao Yixian's hand, and followed behind. The two of them didn't need to worry about Han Cheng harming them, because if Han Cheng truly wanted to harm them, there was no need to waste so many words. Entering their sight was a fiery red world. The extremely high temperature made it a forbidden zone of life that ordinary people could not step foot into. Ordinary people below the Dowang level couldn't stay here for long at all. Alright, this is the place. Han Cheng waved his hand, and a green lotus core flame and a sea heart flame floated in midair. After these two heavenly flames leave me, they can probably maintain themselves for about 10 days, which should be enough for the two of you to use. Alright, next is your two-person world Tilda. Han Cheng smiled, turned around, and left, leaving behind a blushing Xiaoyan and Xiao Yixian. The two of them remained silent for a moment. Xiaoyan glanced at the two heavenly flames floating in midair, tried controlling them, and found it as smooth as directing his own fingers and arms. Xiaoyan smiled, thanked Han Cheng once more in his heart, and said to Xiao Yixian, let's begin. What should I do next? Xiao Yixian adjusted her mood and asked earnestly. According to the poison pill method, you first need to, take off your clothes. Xiaoyan rubbed his head and instinctively turned around. A rustling, subtle movement echoed in Xiaoyan's mind. The more he controlled himself not to think in that direction, the less he could control it. A moment later, Xiao Yixian closed her eyes shyly. Alright, you can come over now. Right, then I'm coming over. Xiaoyan turned around, feeling his nose grow somewhat feverish, but he still tried his best to control himself. According to the records of the poison pill method, Xiaoyan began manipulating the three heavenly flames, taking out the Tier 7 Heavenly Scorpion Poison Dragon Beast core and the Bodhi transformation saliva. After finishing, Xiaoyan instinctively wiped his nose, walked aside, and began to cultivate. 3 days passed. Not only was Xiao Yixian's problem resolved, but her cultivation instantly broke through the Dozun realm, making her a Dozun expert. Because she had learned beforehand that Xiaoyan's cultivation method required heavenly flames, after breaking through to Dozun, Xiao Yixian stripped the netherworld poison flame from within her body and conveniently left behind some pure doqi as a gift for Xiaoyan. Xiaoyan did not refuse, because he truly needed this power right now. Xiao Yixian was in no rush to leave. Instead, she stood guard by the side for Xiaoyan. 2 days later, Xiaoyan successfully devoured the netherworld poison flame and evolved the flame mantra, reaching a quasi-earth tier cultivation method comparable to ordinary earth tier cultivation methods. His cultivation also broke through from a 2-star Dohuang to a 6-star Dohuang. The netherworld poison flame alone certainly couldn't allow Xiaoyan to break through 4 stars within the Dohuang realm, but some Dochi from a Dozun could accomplish that, and it wouldn't even have much impact on the Dozun themselves. It was just that, whether due to the place of utmost yang or because of the netherworld poison flame, the gaze Xiaoyan cast at Xiao Yixian was exceptionally fiery. A spatial passage opened, and Xiaoyan and Xiao Yixian walked out with flushed faces, hand in hand. Han Cheng was discussing some of his experiences regarding the 6th rank alchemist level and his breakthrough to the 7th rank alchemist level with Fire Elder, while the first elder drank tea silently on the side, serving as ambiance. Suddenly, Han Cheng stopped and looked with a smile at the 2 people flying in from the side. It seems the process went very smoothly. Hee Junior Xiaoyan, Unha Tilda. Hee Senior, thank you truly this time. Xiaoyan is endlessly grateful. In the future, as long as it's something Xiaoyan can do, Senior, just say the word. Xiaoyan chuckled foolishly. This sort of matter was quite embarrassing. Then Xiaoyan returned the Bodhi seed to Han Cheng, saying, Senior, this is the Bodhi seed left behind by the Bodhi transformation saliva. Please keep it safe. Junior Xiaoyan is not bad. Oh, quite honest. Han Cheng smiled and put away this Bodhi seed, beginning to ponder his next plans in his heart. Right, in a few days I will open the furnace to refine pills in Jinden City. Junior, if you are interested, you can come take a look. Alright, at that time Junior will definitely come cheer Senior on. Xiaoyan cupped his fists and said, I won't disturb Senior any further for now. Go on, go on. Han Cheng waved his hand, and looking at Xiao Yixian's appearance of echoing her husband's every step, he couldn't help wanting to laugh. It was becoming more and more interesting. The first elder wiped his eyes and turned to look at Han Cheng. Han Cheng, that young girl seemed to be only a 5-star Dozong before she came, right? She was indeed a 5-star Dozong when she arrived, and now she's already a Dozun expert. Although that girl has a special constitution, first elder, you must also work harder and strive to break through to the Dozun realm as soon as possible. Everyone shouldn't have any objections to giving Xiao Yixian to Xiaoyan, ha ha ha. After all, this protagonist is a good person, different from those fanfictions that target Xiaoyan. He is much gentler and has never truly harmed Xiaoyan from beginning to end. Because I was a bit conflicted about this plotline, let's just have 2 updates today, hee. The Dozun realm is not that easy. The Great Elder shook his head. Even with the ethereal Yuanzun pill giving him a bit more confidence, it would still take some time to accumulate. The Dozun realm is not that easy. The Great Elder shook his head. Even with the ethereal Yuanzun pill giving him a bit more confidence, it would still take some time to accumulate. That person had a special constitution, and an ordinary old man like him could not compare. Especially with such a dangerous special constitution, it was quite reasonable for strength to skyrocket after resolving the crisis. He might as well cultivate steadily. Those kinds of dangerous things were not suitable for an old man. The 2-month deadline was approaching. After sunrise, Han Cheng came to Jinden City, while Long Yu was recording the inventory list on the 8th floor. Kailin and Ziyan had collected enough royal jelly and also returned to Han Cheng's side. At times like this, they still habitually wanted to guard by Han Cheng's side. No one broke the rules. After all, the quota of 28th grade pills was very abundant for the Dozun experts here in the Northwest continent. At least 80% of the Dozun experts would be able to be allocated a spot. On the premise that the majority could obtain benefits that satisfied them, they were the loyal defenders of the current rules. With 20 Dozun experts joining forces, even ordinary quasi-sane experts had to temporarily avoid their sharp edge. Brother Ji Yuhi, do not be impatient. There is a full half year of time. While refining the medicinal material essences, Han Cheng smiled and pacified Ji Yuhi's excited mood. Ji Yuhi's mood was indeed very excited right now. After all, not just anyone could watch a grade 8 alchemist's live operation up close. Although Han Cheng had quite a lot of fun these past 3 years, his dual cultivation with Kailin at night had never stopped. His soul power had soared rapidly, and it was not far from the heavenly state great perfection. To describe it more specifically, it was roughly the later heavenly state great perfection, half-step peak later stage, 3rd heavenly layer. Furthermore, with the assistance of the green lotus core flame, which had already transformed into a fire spirit, he had a high degree of certainty in refining a 9th grade pill, let alone a mere 8th grade pill. However, since this time also had the intention of teaching, Han Cheng's method slowed down as much as possible. Even so, on the 7th day, a patch of 9-colored thunderclouds covered the skies above Jinden City. After a bout of lightning and thunder, putting away this 8th grade 9-colored pill, Han Cheng continued refining pills. After the refinement of the 3rd pill ended, Ji Yu he could no longer hold on and needed to rest. After all, his current cultivation was only at the 9-star Do Huang, an ordinary Do Huang expert. Maintaining such intense concentration for over half a month was very energy-consuming. Unlike Han Cheng, whose current strength even in a normal state meant that a Dozun without a heaven-rank Do skill by their side was not a match for him within 10 moves. He could also use Moonlight to quickly replenish his soul power. The soul power consumed in refining an 8th grade peak pill could be restored by 80% with the help of Moonlight. Since teaching was no longer necessary, Han Cheng sped up the rhythm of his pill refinement. 5 days, just a little over 5 days. With his extremely high alchemical attainments, Han Cheng compressed the time required to refine an 8th grade pill down to 5 days, and this was still under the premise of not affecting the medicinal efficacy. In the following half year, Ji Yu he seemed to have returned to the time when he first learned alchemy, desperately absorbing knowledge from Han Cheng to improve his own alchemy. And this was precisely the scene Han Cheng wanted to see. After returning to the Central Plains, this might be the last time he refined 28th grade pills. The next time, he would only refine 9th grade pills, leaving the 8th grade pills to be refined by others in Jinden Tower. After all, a 9th grade alchemist could not casually make a move, he also had his own prestige and status to maintain. Ji Yu he was not bad, possessing great cultivation potential, and his character was quite steadfast. Han Cheng thought very highly of him. Time passed just like that. As that figure on the 9th floor appeared before everyone's eyes, it meant that this 5-month-long pill refinement had come to an end. Countless worshipful and fanatical gazes converged on that figure. That was the number 1 alchemist of the continent, the most noble Mr. Han among all alchemists. Alright, everyone can go collect your pills. Many thanks, Mr. Han. Hee. Leaving behind a burst of laughter, Han Cheng vanished from everyone's sight. Respectfully sending off Mr. Han. Everyone in Jinden City who could make a sound shouted in unison. The dark clouds in the sky above Jinden City that had not yet completely dispersed were shattered by this deafening sound. At this very moment, in everyone's eyes, Han Cheng had already become a legendary figure. He seemed incapable of fatigue, and his skill refinement had never once failed. He was simply the god of alchemists. Of course, this was just what everyone thought in their hearts, no one said it out loud. Otherwise, Han Chang might modestly say, I am not the medicine god. ... Are you exhausted? Seeing Han Chang, Kai-Lan hurriedly helped him onto the bed. It is alright, but it would be even better if accompanied by a beauty. Han Chang really wanted to say he was not very tired, but in his heart, he did not want to refuse Kai-Lan's care. With a gentle pull, Kai-Lan obediently lay down beside Han Chang. There's also a little beauty. Ziyan jumped happily between the two of them, simultaneously enjoying the embrace of both of them. Soon, Ziyan fell asleep first. Han Chang and Kai-Lan exchanged a smile, tucked the blanket over Ziyan, and peacefully closed their eyes. After a long while, Ziyan opened her eyes. Looking at the two people holding her in their arms, her heart felt warm, and her big eyes flickered with glistening tears. The next day, Han Chang left Ji Yuhi with a heavenly demon puppet at the Peak Dozun realm. After teaching him how to use it, he prepared to return to the Central Plains. In a little over a year, it would be the time for Jindan Tower to open once every 5 years, so he had to return early to make preparations. Furthermore, Han Chang also wanted to try inviting a Dosheng expert to act as the overt foundation of Jindan Tower. Senior Han Chang, I am going back to Starfall Pavilion. Why don't we go together? Xiaoyan brought Xiao Yixian to visit Jiangnan Academy to see Han Chang, proposing to return to the Central Plains together. Han Chang waved his hand and said with a smile, no need. I still have some matters to handle here in Jindan City. You guys go back first. I believe Elder Yao will definitely be very glad to see you like this. Senior, then we will be leaving first. Senior's kindness, Xiaoyan will never forget. Goodbye. After you get back, give my regards to Lao Yao. After seeing off Xiaoyan and Xiao Yixian, Han Chang yawned, contemplating holding Kai-Lan to sleep for a while. Unfortunately, it wasn't until the moon climbed into the night sky that Kai-Lan brought Ziyan back from the magical beast forest. However, looking at their expressions, they must have had a very fun time, so Han Chang was not as depressed. Alright, come over quickly. We are getting ready to set off. After bidding farewell to Fire Elder and the others, Han Chang came into the magical beast forest and issued a departure signal to the two beauties soaking their feet in the river. Coming. We are coming. Ziyan pulled Kai-Lan's hand and ran over eagerly. Han Chang smiled and tapped Ziyan to a stop with his finger, having the two beauties, one big and one small, hold his hand tightly as he began communicating with the moonlight. Cyan and blue two-colored flames surrounded the three of them. The instant the cyan lotus and the blue Baeknico collided, the bright silver moonlight shone to the extreme, and within tens of li of the surrounding area, it was as bright as day. Chapter 109. You won't be incompetent, right? Crimson Plane. Activating the dark token with soul power, a flash of spatial fluctuation flickered and vanished as Han Chang and the other two once again arrived at this familiar spatial secret realm. A faint light flashed across the bluestone statue, and a figure that looked no different from an ordinary old man chuckled as he looked at the three arrivals, especially when his gaze landed on the tiny figure in the middle, a flash of pleasant surprise crossing his eyes. You've come, little Ziyan, did you miss this old man? We came to see you, Grandpa Chen. Ziyan came before Chen Beisheng with a giggle. She liked this old man very much, as he was extremely generous. Elder Chen, how have you been lately? Han Chang and Kai-Lan bowed to Chen Beisheng. These past few years have been the best times this old man has had in who knows how many years. Chen Beisheng smiled and stroked Ziyan's small head. This little girl was mischievous and truly endearing. Trapping himself in this spatial realm for tens of thousands of years, staying alone for tens of thousands of years, quietly waiting for the moment his soul would scatter. Until one day, a group of extraordinary young people broke in, letting him feel a long-lost liveliness. How could he not be happy? Then Elder Chen, this junior will boldly ask, how well have you recovered now? Can you withstand the black demon lightning of a 9th grade pill? Han Chang rubbed his hands and asked straightforwardly without beating around the bush. Chen Beisheng did not give an answer immediately, instead looking Han Chang up and down with some surprise. After examining him for a good while, Chen Beisheng exclaimed in surprise, good boy, you really are extraordinary. When we first met before, this old man already sensed that your aura was closely connected to the world. With every breath you take, you can stir the vibration of worldly energy, almost no different from a Dosheng powerhouse. Meeting again today, the aura on your body is actually so natural that this old man doesn't feel a shred of danger. It's truly remarkable. I'm afraid even some one-star Doshengs might not be your match. Elder Chen, you know that my situation is special and different from others. With just those few moves, I'll have no strength left after the burst. Compared to a true Dosheng powerhouse, I'm still far inferior. Han Chang shook his head. If he activated the God of Fire mode, he was indeed comparable to a Dosheng. However, given his current cultivation, the God of Fire mode could not be maintained for long. After executing a full combo, if the enemy didn't die, he would be out of strength. Grandpa Chen, you aren't going to be incompetent, are you? Exclamation mark. Of course I can, there's no problem at all. Hearing little Ziyan question his strength, Chen Beisheng instantly activated his face-changing skill, wearing an overbearing expression. Brat Han, just go ahead and refine it. What's a mere black demon lightning? Han Chang's mouth twitched slightly. This girl really. Elder Chen, stop joking around. Is it really okay? Don't push yourself, Han Chang earnestly advised. Chen Beisheng gave Han Chang a half smile. Little Ziyan must have learned this bad behavior from you, brat. Rest assured, your kid spill allowed this old man to recover some strength, and I now have the home court advantage. I can suppress anything below a 3-star Dosheng, let alone a mere black demon lightning. That's good then. Then this junior will begin. Elder Chen, you must keep an eye on me. Rest assured, this old man was once a 7-star Dosheng. Even if my current strength is less than 10 or 20% of my prime, dealing with a mere black demon lightning is as easy as lifting a hand, isn't it? A tiny black demon lightning is nothing to speak of. Grandpa Chen is mighty and overbearing. Ha ha ha, not bad. Little Ziyan has good judgment, much better than these two. Chen Beisheng stroked little Ziyan's head and laughed heartily. Han Chang and Kai-Lan looked at each other. This girl had gained another backer. She wouldn't be able to reach the heavens in the future, right? Soon, Han Chang cast aside these distracting thoughts and began preparations for his first time refining a 9th grade pill. This time, Han Chang did not use the simulation. He wanted to see how much of a 9th grade alchemist's capability he currently possessed. Perhaps Han Chang was once just an ordinary genius, but with 2 heavenly flames added to his body, his comprehension, aptitude, and talent in all aspects had multiplied several times over. Han Chang's talent was definitely among the very top tier on the fighting Qi continent today. A quarter of an hour later, Han Chang moved. Clang. The myriad beast cauldron landed on the ground, and Xiao Qing walked out from within Han Chang's body. Following Han Chang's will, it spat out a streak of cyan fire. After the finger-thick line of fire was spat out from Xiao Qing's small mouth, it swelled against the wind, transforming into a cyan five-clawed divine dragon that circled and danced in the sky for 2.5 laps before plunging straight down. Countless medicinal ingredients flew out from Han Chang's storage ring, flowing like water into the medicinal cauldron surrounded by the cyan flames. There were no flamboyant operations, only the simplest and most unadorned techniques. No matter how difficult an ingredient was to refine, in front of Xiao Qing, it only took an hour or two to complete the refinement. Watching Han Chang's fluid movements, Qin Beisheng told Ziyan to stop massaging his shoulders and let her rest well to the side. Heavenly flames, my era also had these things, but those capable of forming fire spirits were just those 2 or 3. Aside from the living spirit flame, which is the most special exception among heavenly flames, only the void-swallowing flame and the purification lotus demon flame can truly transform into fire spirits and possess true spiritual intelligence. Yet this green lotus core flame, if anyone had told this old man before today that it could grow to this extent, this old man would never have believed it no matter what. But today, this old man believes it. Qin Beisheng sighed with emotion. The heroes of this world are truly as numerous as carp crossing a river, just how many of them are there? In the end, this old man misjudged. Even though I already paid enough attention to Han Chang's brat in my heart beforehand, I still underestimated him. There are no invincible cultivation methods or dough techniques, only invincible people. From now on, who would dare say that the green lotus core flame is definitely inferior to the purification lotus demon flame and the void-swallowing flame? Thinking back on his own past, Qin Beisheng couldn't help but feel deeply moved. Some cultivation methods and dough techniques are invincible because the people who practice them are strong enough, which is why they can become famous throughout the world. It is not because the cultivation methods and dough techniques are invincible that everyone who practices them can become invincible. Otherwise, even if the Qin clan's Dodi bloodline were severed, they would not have fallen to that kind of state. Roar. Accompanied by the sound of a dragon roar, a loud explosion suddenly resounded in the sky. Immediately afterward, this heaven and earth seemed to darken all at once, and clouds in the sky rapidly gathered from all directions. This time's thundercloud was not the dark-colored layer from before, but a profound color of pitch-black darkness. Dark clouds filled the sky. Although there was no thunder, when one looked up at those pitch-black clouds that were profound to the extreme, one's own soul would faintly tremble. In the sky that had already become pitch-black at some unknown point, the dark clouds constantly squirmed without a single sound, as tranquil as the peace before a storm. A quarter of an hour later, a circular black hole imperceptibly formed amidst the black clouds, a black hole that seemed capable of sucking one's soul in. At that very instant, Qin Beisheng moved. Chapter 110, Returning Soul Pill. Chapter 110, Returning Soul Pill. Ha 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 ha. Qin Beisheng suddenly burst into laughter, standing beside Han Chang, completely unconcerned about the destructive aura within the black hole. How many years has it been? How many years? Ha ha ha, to think that this old man could once again witness the black demon lightning that only appears when a 9th grade pill is born, it truly makes one feel joyous. Ha 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 ha. A strange sound finally came from within the black hole, and a streak of black lightning as thick as an arm struck towards that cyan lotus. Qin Beisheng's figure flashed, instantly appearing before the black lightning, forming the golden fist imprint with his hand, and colliding with the black lightning. A terrifying aura erupted, and the surrounding space shattered like broken glass, exploding with a clatter. Above the firmament, a terrifying energy storm raged wildly. Within a radius of 1,000 zhang, the space turned pitch black in this exact moment, and the space here had completely collapsed under that kind of terrifying collision. However, this place was a spatial secret realm that Qin Beisheng had managed for many years, and these spaces quickly recovered to their original state. Filled with soaring pride, he vented all the pent-up frustration in his chest onto these black demon lightnings. The black demon lightning disappeared, and the dark clouds quickly dissipated. Golden sunlight spilled down, and the blue sky and white clouds reappeared in everyone's field of vision. The cyan lotus slowly withered and dissipated. Just as a stream of light was about to fly into the sky, it was grabbed by Xiao Qing, who slapped it back into the appearance of a pill the size of a dragon's eye with a single palm. Xiao Qing held this deep cyan 9th grade treasure pill with both hands and presented it to Han Chang, saying, "Father." The fragrance of this pill overflowed, and the rich medicinal mist was as thick as it could be, causing it to float in Xiao Qing's hands. Even from far away, one could smell this refreshing medicinal fragrance. Elder Qin, catch. Han Chang waved his palm, and this deep cyan returning soul pill arrived before Qin Beisheng, who was already feeling thoroughly refreshed all over. Qin Beisheng wanted to refuse, but the fragrance of this returning soul pill was inhaled into his body by him, and the feeling of his soul being replenished and made whole rendered him unable to voice his refusal. The 9th grade returning soul pill has miraculous effects in treating soul-related injuries. Elder Qin, do not refuse. We will inevitably need to trouble you in the future, so consider it as preserving the pill that this junior painstakingly refined. How about that? Just leave it to this old man. The old man and the young man smiled tacitly, not mentioning any thanks. They would let their actions speak for themselves. A month later, this space ushered in the 3rd black demon lightning. After shattering the black demon lightning, Qin Beisheng felt extraordinarily spirited now, as if he had recovered a bit of the hot-blooded vigor of his youth. Seeing Han Chang calmly put away this 9th grade treasure pill, Qin Beisheng curled the corners of his mouth. Being able to have a 75% success rate for a 9th grade treasure pill is already quite good. Among 9th grade treasure pill grandmasters, you are also in a very strong batch. You are still young, so don't put too much pressure on yourself, ha ha ha. No, Elder Qin, I am just reflecting on myself. Han Chang shook his head and said in a calm tone, I just feel that my mindset seems to have drifted a bit. Perhaps it was because refining 8th grade pills went too smoothly previously, with almost no failures, so I felt that I truly was the continent's #1 alchemist who would never fail. In fact, I am merely an ordinary alchemist with some talent. That arrogant and conceited mindset from before is truly unacceptable. Han Chang even felt somewhat grateful in his heart that he had failed during the 3rd refinement of the 9th grade pill, otherwise, he wouldn't even know how arrogant he might have become. Qin Beisheng, who had just wanted to say something, retracted his words, silently walked aside, and didn't want to bother with this hateful little brat. A 9th grade alchemist in his 20s, capable of achieving a 70% success rate right from the start, isn't this something to be proud of? Young people these days are truly hard to understand. That aside, Elder Qin, don't you want to go out and take a look? After recovering his soul power with the aid of moonlight, Han Chang smiled as he looked at Qin Beisheng, revealing his foxtail. Qin Beisheng's expression was somewhat complex. After a moment of silence, he said, if it were before the few of you little fellows broke in, I would have answered that I didn't want to go out. But now, the answer in this old man's heart has changed. I indeed want to go out and take a look. I wonder what the fighting Qi continent has become after so many years have passed. It's just that, this old man's current situation is somewhat complicated. Even if I want to go out, I cannot. Han Chang was puzzled and uncomprehending. That shouldn't be the case. Elder Qin, you have lived for at least tens of thousands of years, and your soul power should have at least reached the heavenly state great perfection, right? I know what you mean. My soul realm actually surpassed the heavenly state long ago, and has even reached the emperor state. Qin Beisheng slightly shook his head and said in a complex tone, however, maintaining this secret realm has constantly consumed this old man's soul origin. This old man was also able to hold on until now because of this secret realm, and during this period, I even comprehended a way to cultivate soul power using moonlight essence. But precisely because of this old man now basically has only the realm, but no origin. This old man's current state cannot leave this space, even a soul power avatar cannot be condensed. Qin Beisheng smiled. In fact, he had long anticipated this predicament of his own, and he couldn't say he was all that saddened, let alone regretful. After listening to Qin Beisheng's words, the gazes that Han Chang and the others directed at him were filled with a wave of admiration. To be able to face the hardships of life with a smile, that is a true expert. Elder Qin, I wonder if the legendary soul infant fruit or spirit dragon heavenly Ganoderma, which can make up for the origin soul essence, can help you. Han Chang suddenly remembered something and asked. Hearing this, Qin Beisheng couldn't help being somewhat surprised. He hadn't expected that although this brat was young, he knew quite a lot. Should he say as expected of an alchemist? If there are those two heaven and earth rare treasures, this old man's soul origin can indeed recover. By then, even purely in terms of soul power, it won't be much worse than a true 7-star Doshang. Great, then leave it to me. Ziyan suddenly jumped up and took on this task. Qin Beisheng smiled and cupped his fists at Ziyan, saying, then this old man will thank Ziyan in advance. No need to thank me, no need to thank me. We're on such close terms, after all. Han Chang and the others looked at Ziyan's appearance and couldn't help revealing knowing smiles. A few days later, Han Chang and the others left this space. Qin Beisheng smiled and shook his head, sitting relaxedly on his own bluestone statue, sniffing the returning soul pill while cultivating the Xuanchu soul technique. He had already boasted, so as a senior, he couldn't drop the ball. Long Yu flew all the way from the Black Corner region, taking a month to arrive at the Crimson Plain, pick up Han Chang and the other two, and rush towards Holy Pill City. No one knew Han Chang and the others' itinerary. Even if they had guessed something, they would never have imagined that someone could travel from the Black Corner region to the Central Plains in just a few short seconds, because that defied fighting cheat. At this moment, as the 5-year appointment drew near, many people had already arrived in Holy Pill City in advance, even though there was still a year left. Chapter 111, Advancement. Chapter 111, Advancement. Holy Pill City. Today, everyone who came to Jinden Tower could feel a joyful and relaxed atmosphere. Most customers had no idea why, and only a very few old customers knew the reason. It was simply because the spiritual pillar of Jinden Tower, Mr. Han, had returned. The spiritual pillar of a faction had a tremendous influence on its members, which could be seen from their high spirits. Before Han Chang returned, although the members of Jinden Tower held extraordinary identities, they lacked confidence in their hearts. After Han Chang returned, while still serving customers with the same attitude, their mindset was completely different. After simply processing the application list of the internal personnel of Jinden Tower, Han Chang began a leisurely life inside Han residence. I must say, this process of completing the 9 revolutions to become a saint was truly damn long. Given Han Chang's cultivation talent, translated into progress, he had only just completed 2 revolutions by now. If he were to cultivate normally step by step, it would probably take 3 to 5 years to complete the 9 revolutions, another 5 or 6 years to attempt breaking through to the Demi-Saint realm, and then another 10 to 8 years to truly break through to the Dusheng realm. However, who made Han Chang not an ordinary person? 2 years, 2 more years. Once I obtain the 3000 burning flame, I can complete my ultimate leap. By then, even without the source chi necessary to achieve the duty realm, I will still be able to forcefully step into it with the immense power of the sun, moon, and stars. As for trouble, it shouldn't find me in the next 2 years. According to the development of the plot, the Han clan should be busy wiping out the Shi and Ling clans. At this time, no matter what it is, nothing is more important than the Han clan collecting the Tuo ancient Emperor Jade. Han Chang briefly deduced the potential troubles that might arise in his current timeline and found that his growth time was still very abundant, so there was no need to rush. After all, he wasn't like Xiao Yan, whose identity and stance were rigidly set, forcing the Hall of Souls to constantly prepare to eliminate him. With such a neutral identity, massive influence, and not acting alone, figures like Han Chang would not be frantically provoked by the Hall of Souls. With that effort, wouldn't it be better to wipe out the Starfall Pavilion? They were the mortal enemies, and it was also for the Tuo ancient Emperor Jade. The priorities of matters had to be distinguished clearly. Of course, Han Chang was analyzing the situation with normal human thinking, and no one knew how the specific situation would develop. Watching the big and small beauties playing happily in the swimming pool and wearing cool outfits, Han Chang smiled slightly and wrote down the final medicinal ingredient on this pill formula that he had polished on the surface for 3 years and actually spent 12 years on. It doesn't matter, everything doesn't matter. In front of a cheater like me, no matter how big the trouble is, it is merely a seasoning to increase the fun of the game. Taking off his clothes, Han Chang was bare-chested with only a pair of loose shorts on his lower body, and he plunged headfirst into the swimming pool. A fierce aquatic battle began. Han Chang fought 2 opponents alone and ultimately suffered a regretful defeat. Alright, 10 laps are up. You two, let me go quickly. Straddled by Kai Lin and Ziyan, Han Chang, under their demands, carried them and swam 10 laps around the swimming pool. How about another 10 laps? Ziyan hadn't had enough fun yet and looked back at Kai Lin. As a result, Kai Lin picked Ziyan up in one go and stood up from Han Chang's body. Forget it, let's spare him today. If he dares to bully us again tomorrow, we'll make him take a swimming for 100 laps. Alright, Ziyan nodded. She was a good dragon who kept her word. Han Chang climbed out of the swimming pool, his muscular physique making the 2 beauties beside him unable to take their eyes off him. Neither fat nor thin, with proportions that couldn't be more perfect, he was simply the flawless work of Goddess Nua. Cyan and blue flames enveloped Han Chang, and the water vapor was evaporated. Han Chang appeared before the two in a cyan and blue robe. Tisk. Seeing that Han Chang had put his clothes back on, Ziyan sighed with some regret, while Kai Lin wiped the non-existent saliva from the corner of her mouth. Looking at the backs of these 2 big and small beauties, the flame in Han Chang's heart couldn't stop burning, but fortunately, he suppressed it with great reason. How old is Ziyan anyway? This is going to be the death of me. Calm down, calm down. Early in the morning half a month later, the 3 of them finished a night of triple cultivation, and suddenly the aura on Kai Lin's body changed. Colorful light enveloped her, and the phantom of a sky-swallowing python hovered around Kai Lin. The heaven and earth energy within a radius of 1,000 miles converged towards her body, seemingly endless, and all these energy were swallowed by her. Han Chang truly did not expect this sudden change. He quickly protected Ziyan behind him and carefully checked Kai Lin's condition. Big brother, how is sister Kai Lin? Is she alright? She's fine. Her aura is steadily growing stronger. It should be that her bloodline has advanced, which in turn drove her cultivation to improve. Han Chang waved his hand, activating the array within the residence to conceal the strange phenomenon. However, this strange phenomenon did not last long. 3 hours later, Kai Lin woke up and withdrew these phenomena. Smiling brightly, she came before Han Chang, threw herself into Han Chang's arms, and gave him a long kiss. Ziyan on the side watched with boiling blood, wishing she could take over Kai Lin's next turn. You've reached the Dusheng realm. Han Chang sensed Kai Lin's unmasked aura, somewhat pleasantly surprised. Was it really this fast? Come to think of it, since when could breaking through from the Duzun realm to the Dusheng realm be so easy? Thanks to Chang, otherwise I wouldn't have been able to break through even in another 10 years. Kai Lin tightly hugged Han Chang, fearing that someone would snatch away this big precious treasure. Because of the secret art of swallowing moonlight that Han Chang passed on to her, her bloodline had been continuously evolving. At the same time, 8th grade pills were fed to her as if they cost nothing, which man could be so generous? Now that her bloodline power had broken through the bottleneck and advanced to the 9-colored sky swallowing python, taking advantage of this power and the medicinal strength remaining in her body, wasn't it completely natural for her to break through to the Dusheng realm? Chang, you are so good to me, but I haven't given you anything yet. Then just keep loving me alone, and by the way, give birth to 100 or 80 children for me, how about that? Han Chang kissed Kai Lin's forehead and stroked her smooth back exposed by her clothes. Hearing these words from Han Chang, Kai Lin couldn't help laughing. Alright, if you can, I can. With 100 or 80 children, they wouldn't be able to give birth to them all without 1,000 or 800 years. Kai Lin was wondering whether she should find a couple of younger ones for Han Chang, otherwise she was afraid she wouldn't be able to tell her own children apart. Holding Kai Lin, Han Chang smiled silently. 100 or 80 children was just something said in passing. If they really gave birth to that many, what would he become? Was one person supposed to create an entire clan? Suddenly, the two who had been glued together simultaneously looked at Ziyan, who was drawing circles to the side, revealing awkward smiles. After the two of them respectively promised to take Ziyan swimming for 100 laps in the swimming pool, they obtained Ziyan's forgiveness. Life on Han Chang's side was very peaceful, but the outside world was no longer peaceful, especially after everyone came to know Jinden Tower. Chapter 112, Brother Han. Chapter 112, Brother Han Tilda. As the 5-year appointment arrived, it was unknown how many experts had already set off. When Jinden Tower officially opened for the first time, everyone was unsure whether it was true or false. Once it was confirmed, it was already too late, and many people slapped their thighs in endless regret. The second time was in Jinden City of the Northwest Continent. That was actually considered an extra help from Han Chang to his hometown, and there would be no such occurrences in the future, nor was it counted within the official 5-year appointment of Jinden Tower. Next was the official 5-year appointment of Jinden Tower. It was unknown how many super experts had set off and arrived in this Holy Pill City. To describe it specifically in one sentence, near Holy Pill City, the people from the Hall of Souls did not even have a shred of arrogant aura when passing by, fearing that they would provoke public outrage. Now, there was still more than a month left before the 5-year appointment of Jinden Tower, yet the figures of nearly 100 super experts had already appeared within Holy Pill City. Who would dare to go crazy here? As the time for the 5-year appointment of Jinden Tower drew closer and closer, Holy Pill City became increasingly lively. If compared by the number of experts, even the All-Continent Alchemist Convention could not compare to this grand occasion. On this day, Han Chang came to Pill Tower to visit. Because of their frequent dealings, Han Chang's relationship with the 3 great heads was becoming increasingly familiar. However, just as he arrived at the top floor hall today, he found that Zhang Kangzi was sitting opposite a woman in a black dress. Seeing Han Chang's arrival, Zhang Kangzi hurriedly stood up and came before Han Chang, and the young woman also followed with a curious look on her face. Seeing this, Han Chang transmitted his voice. Old brother Zhang Kangzi, am I coming at a bad time? Go on with you 1_1. Zhang Kangzi glared at Han Chang and said unhappily, this is my disciple, Cao Ying. This is Han Chang, the master of Jinden Tower, and also the person you, little Yinger, have been clamoring to see. You are Mr. Han, that's wonderful, I finally met you. Cao Ying's face was flushed with excitement, and looking at Han Chang's handsome face, she couldn't help but clamp her legs together. Hee, that's just everyone's respect. It'll be fine for us to address each other as brother and sister. Han Chang couldn't help feeling a bit emotional, not expecting that he was also someone who had a little fangirl, tisk 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 hollow down pointing triangle. Ah, wouldn't that be inappropriate? Cao Ying lacked the confidence and composure of an enchantress on usual days. In front of her idol, she was still very shy, especially since this was their first meeting. Haha, what's inappropriate about it? There's not much difference in our ages, you can call me whatever you like. Then, I will call you Brother Han, okay. A flash of light crossed Cao Ying's fox-like eyes as she said with a smile. As long as you're happy, it's just a form of address. Han Chang smiled, turned his head, and said, you master and disciple continue, I'll just borrow a book and leave. Sigh, this old man has already taught little Yinger almost everything that can be taught. Today is just a routine check to see if little Yinger has been practicing diligently, you don't need to avoid us. Zhang Kangzi waved his hand, this wasn't a lecture anyway. Oh, I wonder to what stage Miss Yinger's alchemy has reached now. Han Chang feigned surprise, though he actually deeply acknowledged Cao Ying's talent. After all, she was a leader-level existence among the young generation of alchemists in Zhongzhou. 7th rank, compared to Brother Han, Yinger is merely the light of a firefly. Cao Ying said softly, but her gaze looking at Han Chang was extremely fiery. She was very curious about this man, and eagerly wanted to get close to this man who was younger than her yet could be universally recognized by numerous senior alchemists as the #1 alchemist on the continent. Hee, this girl is already a high-level 7th rank alchemist, and it's not far from the 8th grade. Zhang Kangzi exposed Cao Ying's background without hesitation. How did this girl turn into such a state in front of Han Chang? Miss Yinger is truly not inferior to men and possesses extraordinary talent. No wonder old brother Zhang Kangzi always mentions you. Brother Han is too polite. Yinger is just lucky to have met teacher. You are the true darling of heaven, even teacher cannot compare to you. Miss Yinger doesn't need to be like this. I am merely a junior, still somewhat lacking compared to old brother Zhang Kangzi. Han Chang discovered that Cao Ying's personality differed somewhat from the original work. He didn't know whether this was her true nature or a guise she deliberately put on. However, it didn't matter. Han Chang was firm with no desires, he had no thoughts about Cao Ying, and she could act however she liked. Zhang Kangzi silently straightened his back. It seemed that this younger brother Han still understood social etiquette. Ahem, younger brother Han Chang, this time old brother wants to ask you for a favor. How about helping me guide little Yinger? Han Chang was only 23 years old. Since he, Zhang Kongzi, addressed Han Chang this way, he thought his age definitely wouldn't exceed 50 years old. Han Chang glanced at Cao Ying, whose eyes were burning with passion, and pondered for a moment. Old brother, you also know that advancing from high-level 7th rank to 8th grade entirely depends on when soul power can advance to the spirit realm. It's hard for outsiders to help with that. However, since old brother has spoken, but I don't have much experience teaching people, why don't we do it this way? A few days later, I will refine 28th grade pills. If it's convenient for Miss Yinger, she can go under Jinden Tower to observe closely. She can learn as much as she manages, how about that? This time in Holy Pill City, Jinden Tower had been taken care of quite a bit by the 3 great heads, owing a favor to some extent, and Han Chang couldn't easily refuse Zhang Kongzi's request. Since that was the case, he would let her and Ji Yuhi take a look together in the VIP seats. Anyway, refining 8th grade pills wasn't difficult for him, and he wouldn't be afraid even if someone caused trouble by his side. Younger brother, wouldn't this be inappropriate? Zhang Kongzi couldn't help feeling a bit moved, and for a moment felt rather embarrassed instead. After all, for an alchemist, when refining pills, those who could stay by their side were either disciples or people of the closest relations, all extremely reliable people. Because at that time, an alchemist was at their most vulnerable. Once someone seized the opportunity to strike, just like Yao Chen, even a Duzun expert would have to meet their demise. Now, Han Chang and Cao Ying were merely meeting for the first time. Before Zhang Kongzi's experienced eyes, Han Chang hadn't revealed even a hint of that kind of intention toward Cao Ying. Instead, purely relying on his, Zhang Kongzi's, face, Han Chang trusted Cao Ying so much. How could this not move him? It doesn't matter, old brother Zhang Kongzi. Actually, at that time, it won't just be Miss Yinger alone. A 7th rank alchemist from within my Jinden Tower will also be watching from the side. One more Miss Yinger won't make a difference. Alright then, little Yinger, why don't you quickly thank younger brother Han Chang? Zhang Kongzi looked at his disciple with a smiling expression, only to see that the expression of astonishment on Cao Ying's face was still lingering, as if she hadn't fully recovered her wits yet. Brother Han's magnanimity truly makes Yinger admire him. Yinger thanks brother Han. Cao Ying thanked him earnestly, and this appearance seemed to be her true nature. Seeing Cao Ying like this, Han Chang was somewhat surprised. As expected, Zhang Wuji's mother was right. The prettier a woman is, the better she is at lying. Small matter. 2 years later, at the All-Continent Alchemist Convention, old brother Zhang Kongzi, please help out and rig it a bit so I can take the championship. Chapter 113 Burning Flame Valley. Chapter 113 Burning Flame Valley. The results of the All-Continent Alchemist Convention cannot be faked, and rigging it behind the scenes is even more of a joke. However, winning the championship is already set in stone. No one can match Han Chang. Grade 8 alchemists who can reach Han Chang's level are basically a bunch of old men. If they were really to compete with 8th grade 9 color pills, the final outcome would be hard to predict. But Han Chang's efficiency and success rate are definitely the highest among grade 8 alchemists, which is also a major advantage during the competition. For pills of the same quality, the one with the shorter refining time is naturally the winning side. Golden sunlight spilled over the earth. The moment the sun came out, the entire Holy Pill City boiled like boiling water. On the streets of the inner region, heads were surging like a vast ocean, with no end in sight. Holy crap, why are there so many people this year? I remember last time there were only about 70 or 80 Dozun experts, but why are there so many this time? It is close to 300 people, right? Sigh, who was to say otherwise? So many people have already come, why are people still continuously arriving? Did they not know that there are only 20 spots? Hee, who wouldn't want to try such a great opportunity? What if you managed to snatch one? Wouldn't that be a huge profit? That is an 8th grade 9 color pill. It even has some use for some Dosheng experts. If a 9-star Dozun can swallow one, the subsequent 9 revolutions will be much easier. Snatching one is a profit, who would be willing to give up? Look over there, the ones at the very front are the 5 great families of the Pill Tower, and the rest are alchemists. I wonder what they're here for. Who knows, we certainly do not understand the matters of alchemists. They are probably here to pay their respects to Mr. Han's presence. After all, he is the #1 alchemist on the continent. Quote. Old 9, do you think we can snatch an opportunity? It is looking grim, quite a few old monsters have come out. There are simply too many people. No one can guarantee that they will definitely snatch an opportunity. Sigh, try our best, seize the opportunity, and charge forward as quickly as possible. Also, do not commit any taboos. If we provoke public anger, the 2 of us will die for nothing. Rest assured. Inside the 9th layer of Jinden Tower, Ji Yuhi and Cao Ying, 2 close-up spectators, greeted each other. Ji Yuhi's mood was somewhat complicated. Is this a genius alchemist of Zhongzhou? It is truly an enviable talent. At such a young age, he is already a grade 7 advanced alchemist, and only a step away from grade 8. And he was now nearing 60. Although 60 was not very old as a Dohuang expert, he was clearly no longer young. With Han Chang's almost unsparing help, he had only recently stabilized his alchemy skills at grade 7 intermediate. Han Chang's figure appeared above Jinden Tower, and with a wave of his hand, the doors and windows of the 8th and 9th layers opened. Venerable Skyfire was already waiting on the 8th layer, with 2 heavenly demon puppets standing by to deter others. Looking at so many people, Han Chang nodded in satisfaction. A crisp bell rang, and in just the time of a single breath, the 20 spots were already decided. Suddenly, a figure arrived at the 9th layer. Valley Master Tang Jian of Burning Flame Valley greets Mr. Han. Han Chang was somewhat surprised and did not understand what this person was looking for him for. Valley Master Tang is too polite. I wonder what business you have with Han, as the spots for the 8th grade pill have already been finalized. No, this old man has come this time to invite Mr. Han to refine a 9th grade pill. I wonder if Mr. Han is willing to give it a try. Tang Jian stated his purpose, which truly surprised Han Chang a bit. He didn't expect someone to dare come and ask him to refine a 9th grade pill so soon. Does Valley Master Tang have such confidence in Han? That is a 9th grade pill. Not so. In this old man's view, the next 9th grade alchemist on this fighting Qi continent can be none other than Mr. Han. With your attainment in alchemy, you should have a considerable chance of success even when refining a 9th grade pill, right? Hee, Valley Master Tang truly has a discerning eye for heroes. Han Chang smiled, and then said with a serious expression, that is correct. In fact, Han has already refined a 9th grade pill privately. I accept Valley Master Tang's order. However, according to the rules, the black demon lightning drawn by that 9th grade pill must be resolved by Valley Master Tang. Naturally, these are the medicinal materials and the reward, please accept them, Mr. Han. Tang Jian had been prepared for a long time. Black demon lightning was nothing, although their own ancestor was injured, things like black demon lightning could still be dealt with. Han Chang accepted the medicinal materials and the reward, only to find that it was actually a set of earth tier cultivation method and dough technique. It seemed that Valley Master Tang Jian was also an interesting person. How about this? The refining of this 9th grade pill will begin 1 month after the 28th grade pills. Alright, then I will trouble Mr. Han. I will go back first to brief our ancestor. Valley Master Tang, please feel free. Tang Jian left very happily. He had not expected that he really bet right. This young man's alchemy skills had indeed reached that step. Turning around, Han Cheng looked at the shocked duo of Ji Yuhi and Cao Ying, and said with a beaming smile, snap out of it, I am about to begin. Taking the inventory and medicinal material rewards handed over by Venerable Skyfire, Han Cheng began refining pills. The figure of the fire spirit was concealed by Han Cheng. Cao Ying was not one of their own after all, having only met a few times, so certain things could not be casually revealed yet. 7 days later, the moment the familiar 9-color thundercloud fully gathered, an energetic phantom of a 9-colored sky-swallowing python emerged in the air, swallowing the newly condensed 9-color thundercloud in one gulp. Everyone who saw this scene could not help but gasp. With such powerful strength, at least a semi-saint expert could accomplish it, right? Only some knowledgeable people understood that to deal with a 9-color thundercloud in one go was something a semi-saint expert could not do. Only a true Dosheng expert could accomplish it. For a moment, quite a few people who understood Mr. Han's previous deeds thought of something, and could not help feeling a wave of admiration. That is the 9-colored sky-swallowing python. Has Mr. Han's wife already advanced to a Dosheng expert? This advancement speed is simply too fast. The Dozun experts of the Heavenly Demon Phoenix clan who followed Feng Qinger to Holy Pill City were filled with astonishment. You must know that was a Dosheng expert, the supreme being among magical beasts. Such a great existence numbered only a handful even within the Heavenly Demon Phoenix clan. Sigh, Feng Qinger let out a long, regretful sigh, her eyes shining as she said in a tone filled with envy, is it fast? Under the full force cultivation of an alchemist with alchemy speed like Mr. Hans, magical beasts possessing top-tier bloodlines will definitely advance rapidly. What a lucky guy, if it were me, I could have reached the 8th rank by now. A top-tier alchemist, indeed, how wonderful it would be if our Heavenly Demon Phoenix clan could have an alchemist. They could only think about this idea. The weak soul power of the magical beast clan was naturally insulated from the noble profession of alchemists. Furthermore, before the 5th rank, the vast majority of magical beasts did not even have true intelligence. How could they compare with humans who were naturally intelligent? As time passed, the subsequent 9-colored thunderclouds were swallowed one after another. Kai Lin felt that her cultivation was breaking through extreme